What's up, everybody? It's Kyle. How you doing? Welcome in. It's Tuesday, so that means this is the pull list, where we're going to talk about my pull list and your pull list and books that are coming out this week and books I think you should be adding to your pull list and picking up in a few weeks. So we're going to start right at the very beginning with one of the biggest books out this week and why I think it's super important to pick up. This is Department of Truth number 6. The Department of Truth number 6. It's James Tynion, who right now is killing it on Batman. He's killing it on everything he does. But this is the kind of the end of the first sort of, I'm going to call it a volume. It's not a volume. Kind of the first arc. So you'll get to see a bump in for the next story here. So this is a great place to jump in. You're getting the wrap up kind of the current story, and you get to start the next story. So there's that. Department of Truth number 6. You've also got some really cool covers by Alan Kwa and Lee. I don't know. Raymond Lee. Sorry. Who do variants on this book that are worth checking out for sure. Department of Truth is a constant sellout. Stores sell out of this book all the time, so make sure you're getting on it early. For sure. Like this is I think maybe one of the biggest books of the week. Behind that is a new one from DC, Generations Forged, written by Dan Jurgens. Art or Robert Vendetti and Andy Schmidt. You have art by Brian Hitch, Bernard Chang, Colleen Duran, Marco Santucci, and more. Guys, this is kind of the Dark Knight's death metal is over. This is the new thing. This is what's next. So make sure you're checking that one out as well. Generations Forged. And again, you're talking about a legendary Batman or legendary Superman creator in Dan Jurgens and a bunch of other legends in the industry working on this book. One of the books that comes out this week that's important is a book we talk about pretty regularly around here. Previews Magazine. The cover of this one is Invincible Red Sonja, which is Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor, plus Moratat on art, coming to from Dynamite. So I'm sure Nick and I will talk about this in the coming days, but this is a new Red Sonja story. Guys, remember, Previews is a good, thick 500-page book or so. So make sure you check that out. Because that is like where you find out about stuff, right? You can go to previewsworld.com for sure. Previewsworld.com is always a great resource for finding out about books that are coming out and finding out the release schedule. But Previews Magazine is the easiest place to see everything for the entire month. Now, if you buy Previews Magazine, you get Marvel Previews, which is a separate book entirely for free. And you can get DC Connect, which is DC's Previews Magazine, on their website. So those are things to check out. So I go through every week, every time Previews comes out, I go through Previews, and I start to just mark down hey, these are the things I want to get. I write a list. These are the books that are interesting to me. These are the books I have my list of things I already get. But I write down a list of things that are interesting to me, things that are new, things that are, maybe I like books that are completely off the beaten path, completely off the, kind of the main road of comics, right? So I like a lot of the independent stuff. I like Marvel and DC too, don't get me wrong, but like on this show, if you've watched it at all, you've seen me talk about the indie stuff, and that's what I like. So I write down anything that I think my comic store might not already be going to order, so I can go in and say, hey, this is what I want to add to my pull list so that I make sure these books get ordered. And I get that information from previews. It's super important. It's a super big deal every time there's a new previews book because, like I said, it's where we find out about things like this book. This is Stray Dogs from Tony Fleece's. Stray Dogs is the story of a serial killer, kinda. So Stray Dogs is about a serial killer kills people and steals their dogs as trophies. And this is that story from the point of view of the dog. Right? Pretty unique story. Maybe not something your comic shop would normally order, even though it is an image book. It's a little out of the norm, as we say. So for me, it's important to get a book like this added to my pull list right away. That way I can make sure I get my copies. And with this one, there are a ton of movie poster variants, right? So Stray Dogs has let me pull it up right here. So I can tell you they've got a butterfly effect variant, they've got an It variant. There are some stores that have done other exclusive variants that are also movie poster style or movie poster parodies. So, like, I was able to get my covers ordered for sure on this book. So, like I said, Previews Magazine is great because it gives you that information and lets you order with knowledge as opposed to just hoping to go into a store and pick something up. It also lets me plan ahead if there's a book that I want, right, that may wind up being popular with the speculator market. If I've ordered it ahead of time, my store is going to save me a copy. So now I don't have to worry about whether or not somebody who has no intention to read it went and picked up a book that I would like to read. Yeah, Pat. Well, Pat's special. He does, seeing his name in it was a huge thrill. It's true. The thing about previews is that it's a place where it's like, do you guys have that memory of getting like this J.C. Penney catalog at Christmas? Or the Sears catalog and getting to look at tools? Like, it's like that, except it's comic books. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you visit your local comic shop and get that information. This show, my show, The Pull List, is, as always, brought to you by Comic Shop Locator. Find great shops in your area over at bit.ly/comic locator. Comic Shop Locator, guys, is the go-to tool for finding local comic shops in your area. So, if you don't know where your local comic shop is and you just buy from us all the time, go to Comic Shop Locator, hit it up, say, hey, I'm interested in a shop in my area, type in your area code, and it will tell you where the closest shops are. And now you have a chance to go in and like change a retailer's life by being one of their customers. Like, don't miss out on how important it is for retailers to have customers. So head over to Comic Shop Locator at bit.ly/comic locator to find stores in your area where you can pick up some of the great books we're talking about. We're going to, this is a book that I told you about later on in the show. We're going to talk about things that are coming out in a few weeks that you should be adding to your pull list now to ensure you get them. This is a book that I had on that list a few weeks ago. This is Two Moons. It's a story of a man who is a Pawnee Indian who is serving in the Civil War. While he's serving, his roots kind of come back to, or his roots that he didn't know he had, his heritage and his background kind of come to bear in his life, where he finds out that he's of shamanic descent. And those roots start to take hold, and it's a look at this person's kind of journey of self-discovery, all the while he's serving in the Civil War. Issue 1, guys, I got to tell you, it's an action book. It's an action-packed book. Like, there isn't a ton of mythology right here at the top, but you can totally feel that it's going there. So that's super fun. Two Moons is from Image Comics. Make sure you check that out as well. Now, we're going to do this. We're going to take I'm going to wait a few minutes. We'll do another book. This is from Stephanie Phillips and Tony Shasteen. This is Nuclear Family #1. This is the story of what happens when a world poised on the brink of nuclear war actually tips over into nuclear war, and what one father will do to protect his family, what one family will do to stay together, and how the world as a whole reacts. One of the interesting things is if you read the what they call solicitation, which is the stuff the publisher tells you about the books so that you can be knowledgeable in what you're buying and you can plan what you're buying. And so retailers know what they're ordering to sell you. The thing that might not be presently apparent on the cover is that this book is based on Philip K. Dick's short story Breakfast at Twilight. So if you're a fan of Philip K. Dick and his kind of post-apocalyptic, futuristic sci-fi, this is one for you. America 1957, Elvis dominates the airwaves and apple pie is served after every meal. But with the dark cloud of nuclear holocaust looming, Korean War vet Tim McLean's major concern is taking care of his family in the atomic age. When the first bomb does drop on an unexpected Midwest city, Tim and his family find themselves plunged into a strange new world where what's left of the United States has gone underground while continuing to wage war on Russia with unthinkable tactics. Like I said, it's Cold War era bomb science fiction. If you're a fan of Fallout, this is a book for you, right? I always, when I had my store open, I always ask people what movies they watch, what TV shows they watch, what video games they played to help figure out what to offer them as comics. And video games were always a big correlation, right? So if you like those kind of post-apocalyptic Fallout, maybe even Borderlands, this is for you because it does come from that place of being a little bit outside of the norm of what you expect, but also a little bit outside of the realm that you're used to in these kind of stories about the war from the 50s and 60s. So, and again, it's based on Philip K. Dick's Breakfast at Twilight, so it's top-level sci-fi. We are going to take a quick break here on the Pull List show so that I can get ready for the next grouping of books. But when we come back, we'll talk about more books on my pull list, more books on your pull list, and things I think you should be adding to your pull list going forward. But while we're on break, if you want to, in the comments, okay, tell me who your local comic shop is. Tell me why you go to them. Tell me why you like them. We'd love to give them a shout out. Again, this show is brought to you by Comic Shop Locator. So if we can talk about individual comic shops, that is a big bonus for us. So go ahead and put that in the comments. Where do you shop? Where do you go? Where are you heading in the morning or later this week to pick up your new books? So we will be right back in just a minute here on the Pull List on the Comic Book Shopping Experience.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit ComicShopLocator.com today.
You are watching Minute to Skim It on the Experience, so hello. All right, we've got lots of books to review for you guys today. And Hannah just basically showed up just the number ones and showed them to me, and I was like, oh, we have
just for the indies.
Just for the indies, yeah. I was like, we have got a lot to do.
space. Zero is coming. And she's ready to party.
You ready, Nemo?
Like a monster. Pre-order now. Jay-Z.
What's up, everybody? We're back here on the pull list on the Comic Book Shopping Experience. Remember, guys, this is a show brought to you by Comic Shop Locator. Head over to bit.ly/comic locator. It's down there at the bottom to find a local comic shop in your area where you can go pick up your comic books tomorrow. Especially if you don't already have a local comic shop, make sure you hit it. I am Kyle. See? That's me. So I asked you guys before the break to put your local comic shops in the chat. And since no one did, I'm going to assume none of you have local comic shops, and you're all heading over to comicshoplocator.com or bit.ly/comic locator to find a comic shop in your area. If you actually do have one and you're just shy, don't be shy. I won't make fun of you. You know, I love local comic shops, and I love knowing why people go to local comic shops. So put those in the comments. While we wait, or while we do that, let's talk about another couple of books, like this one from Scout Comics, which if your store is Scout Direct, they've probably had for a couple of weeks. But if they're not, they come out this week. This is By the Horns #1. By the Horns #1 is a story like, did anybody watch Legends of Tomorrow? When Constantine came on and they had the episode where they had to deal with the unicorn. Well, that's this whole girl's story. So this is the story of Elodie, and she hates unicorn. For nearly a year, she's dedicated her life to tracking down and killing them all for trampling her husband, Shintaro. Now exiled from her farming village of Wayfarer, she selfishly neglecting her duties. Elodie and her half-wolf, half-deer companion, Sajin, search the continent of Soloths for clues to the whereabouts of unicorns. Look, I know a lot of little kids like unicorns, but how do I put this? Unicorns are jerks. They trampled this lady's husband. According to Legends of Tomorrow and John Constantine, they eat human hearts. And even if they don't, they leave glitter everywhere and you can't get it out of your carpet. You didn't expect this to devolve into a rant on unicorns, did you? But they do. It's the problem with unicorns. So this story, By the Horns #1, is the story of a woman who has devoted her life to eradicating the world of unicorns, and the weird and terrible things that come from that. So it's an interesting look. I think it's very exciting. We do have a comment. We have a comment from Joel Eden. Joel says, my LCS is Secret Origins Comics and More in Collingswood, New Jersey. I like it because the owners know comics, know what I like, and can give me crazy backstory on the 30 years I stepped away to catch me up. That's true, man. Like, when people take a break from reading comics, it's hard to get back in sometimes. People are like, oh, there's so much happened in the X-Men while I was away. What do I do? Well, having a store owner who can either put you onto a trade that can get you caught up, or who can help you like fill in those gaps of your mental, the mental gap there, your knowledge gap, is always super helpful. And I love when I go into a store and they're like, well, you could read such and such and such and such. But let me tell you the real story of what happened to, Captain America that time when he wound up, angry at Bucky and such, and that thing happened is this story. And it's going to be way more interesting. And it's going to fill you in way more on their relationship going that route. I always love that from a store. I love people who know their product. I love people who know the backstories. And I love, love, love when somebody goes, oh, you've been away for a while? Here, let me help you get back. Because, like I said, so often comics have such a barrier to entry. And any store that does a good job of breaking down that barrier is A+ in my book. So shout out to Secret Origins, Comics, and More in Collingswood, New Jersey. If you're in Collingswood, New Jersey, or New Jersey in general, or really anywhere on the Eastern Seaboard, go to Secret Origins, Comics, and More. It's probably a great shop to check out. There are other great shops over there, but make sure that's one you add to your list. All right, guys. Frank at Home on the Farm, number 2 from Scout Comics. Frank is crazier than I am. Just going to say it. We don't know why Frank is crazy. We don't know what's making him crazy. It wasn't revealed to us in number 1. But in number 2, we get more of that story of a person who you're following his slow but eventual descent into madness. And this book, especially number 2, starts kind of leading you down the path of why. And so often in comic books, people go nuts, or they come from a mental, they come into a story with already having had a mental break or some sort of mental problem, especially in these psychological thriller stories. This one is no different, but we're finding out why. Because Frank isn't just both physically destabilizing, he's physically destabilizing. His obsessions and post-traumatic stress are taking their toll as he continues to search for his missing family while becoming more and more distrusting of the world outside the farm as he makes discoveries that raise terrible questions about about the fate of his parents and brother. This is one of those movies that starts off like if this was a movie, it would start off, everything's good on the farm. The guy's like feeding the horses and chickens and cows. And then you end the movie with him being led away in a straitjacket. We don't know why or how yet, but Frank at Home from the Farm is the psychological thriller of the year, in my opinion. And it's doing nothing but make me want to binge read it. I don't often enjoy binge reading comics. Like, it's why I'm not a huge collector of trades. I totally will, but Frank at Home on the Farm makes me want to sit down and read the whole story end to end without stopping, so that all my questions can be answered. I'm going to do a book that I didn't think I wanted, and I probably don't actually need, but I'm totally going to get. This is from the Rock and Roll from Acme Comics. That's weird. Hold on. Let me do a thing. Let's see if I can fix this. There we go. Now it's the right colors. This is the comic book biography of Oingo Boingo. Yeah. Oingo Boingo. The comic book biographies are usually really good. They're usually hugely accurate. They usually have great storytelling. But did we really need one for Oingo Boingo is the question. I guess comment with your favorite Oingo Boingo song. Do people have favorite Oingo Boingo songs? I don't know. But we're going to move on from that because that was more or less there just to be like, sometimes weird books comes out, guys. And sometimes you got to decide, do you want the weird or not? But we are going to take another real quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up the last few books that are on my pull list this week that I think you should be checking out. I'll give you my pick of the week, and we will talk about new books that are coming out that are on FOC this coming Monday. So stores place their orders this coming Monday for books that are due out 3 weeks from then. So we look at this coming Monday for books that are actually a month from Wednesday. So we get to take a look at that. and I will tell you what books I think you should be adding to your pull list now. So here's one that's on FOC right away. We're going to start with a commercial for something that's on FOC right now that you should be heading into your comic book store and adding in the next few days.
Fight Club.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle. Welcome back to the pull list. My phone is going nuts. Okay, we're getting an Amber Alert. Okay, that explains why my phone is going nuts. All right, so welcome back to the pull list, guys. This is where we talk about what's coming out tomorrow by looking at my pull list and what I think should be on your pull list. So we've got a few books left to talk about that are out this week, including this one from Behemoth Comics, who is a company I think you should be keeping your eye on. Behemoth Comics is a growing company that is doing really, really good work. This book is The Sopranos Meets the Ghostbusters, Paranormal Hitmen #1. So this is the story of Gene, Rizzo, and Devin Grace, two hitmen working for the infamous mobster Alfonso Carboni. After being recruited into the mysterious government agency, not only will Gene and Devin have to hunt and kill ghosts, they will also have to dodge Alfonso Carboni and his men. So these are two guys, they're two gangsters, they're two hitmen who have gone straight and are working for the feds, hunting down ghosts and whatnot. All the while, their gangster boss is out there going, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be doing a job for me?" And trying to hunt them down on his own. So it's one of those running from the dark side of the law while serving the bright side of the law, while also busting ghosts. Who you gonna call? Probably not these guys, but that's what makes this story interesting. And again, Behemoth Comics is one of these smaller companies. They're not necessarily an upstart. They've been around for a little bit, but they're finally starting to get their name out there and sort of get some recognition amongst fans, and I think they're a company to watch. From Source Point Press, we have The Eighth Immortal #2. The Eighth Immortal is the story of a girl whose job it is to keep people from becoming immortal. There can only be 7. And she is one of them. But they don't know she's one of them. So she is the 8th Immortal, and her job is to make sure there are no more while staying undetected on her own. So this is a story where this particular issue is kind of her origin, how she got to be where she's at and what she's doing. And then that is interspersed with more modern day stories, about dark spirits and immortality and that kind of stuff. And then there's apparently, and I love this, this is one of the things that just tickled me so much in the solicitation, is also the tyranny of skinny jeans. Guys, skinny jeans are bad. Might look good on certain people, but skinny jeans are bad for you. Can we just agree? No? Nobody? Nobody wants to join me in my skinny jeans are bad for you protest? That's fair. But this book talks about it as well as dark spirits and what it's like to be immortal. I imagine it's problematic, watching everybody you like die while you just stay immortal. So that's the 8th Immortal from Source Point Press. We have another book this week from Source Point Press, Warcorn Combat Unicorns for Hire. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you my Warcorn Combat Unicorns for Hire story. I have a friend who is a military veteran. He doesn't talk about his time in the military because, according to him, what he did in the military is that's not what you do. You don't really tell stories about it. And that's fair, right? It's his life and it's his stories. But I handed him Warcorns, and he goes, "Oh my God, if this isn't the most accurate thing I've ever read, I don't know what is." Written by Garrett Gunn, who himself is a military veteran. Warcorns Combat Unicorns for Hire. This volume is a sequel or a prequel. It's directly tied to the one-shot that came out last year, but it's the story of these different unicorns who represent different branches of the military, and in this particular story, they're going through basic training. But the thing about each unicorn, right, is that it's the stereotypes of each branch of the military. The flyboy, like the pilot who doesn't want to get too close to the action but still wants to somehow be involved. The Marine that always just runs right in without really thinking about things. The Army guy it's always broken. Like, they're totally a badass, but they're also always busted up. That kind of stuff. Those stereotypes that you hear about so often from military folk are personified in these unicorns. So you Warcorns Combat Unicorns for Hire from Source Point Press. Number 2 is out now. I know there are some stores that are out of number 1s. I know Source Point is out of number 1s, but you can find stores like maybe Space Cadets Collection in Houston that can help you through the third market with Warcorns Combat Unicorns for Hire. All right. So, guys, if you're out there watching, again, put your local comic shop in the comments so we can talk about them. Why do you like your local comic shop? Why are they your local comic shop? Is it just proximity, or do you go there for a reason? I myself drive across town to go to my local comic shop. There are stores closer to me than my local comic shop, but I still go to that one because of the owner there. And I really like the owner. He's been around a long time, and he's just a super funny, good guy who always takes good care of me and always makes sure I get the books I want. Even if I'm the only person asking for him, he always makes sure that he gets them. It doesn't always make sense for him to order some of the books he orders, but he knows I'll want them, so he orders them for me. So that's why I choose that local comic shop. So why do you choose your local comic shop? Visit bit.ly. It's scrolling here at the bottom. bit.ly/comic locator to find your local find a local comic shop near you if you don't have one. Or also, and that site just redirects you to comicshoplocator.com, which is a great place to find local comic shops in your area. So, it's that time of the show where we would normally go and start talking about things that are coming out in a few weeks on FOC that are, Julian drove all the way to Indiana for Aw Yeah Comics. Well, also to visit family. Dude, that is so true. Muncie is about an hour and 45, almost 2 hours from me. And I will drive over just to go visit Dr. Christie. Absolutely. One of the best stores, in my opinion, in the country. But it's the same with a lot of the stores here on the Comic Book Shopping Experience, right? I think they're all top-level stores, and I look forward to getting my chance to visit all of them, the ones I haven't visited. But when I go on vacation, that's how I plan my vacations, right? I will pick a city, and I will just go to Comic Shop Locator and be like, all right, where are the comic shops? And I'll visit them. You know, my family's like, we're going to the amusement park. I'm like, I'm going to the comic book shop. And I can spend a whole day at one comic book shop, like not even trying, just digging through every long box, back issue, everything. So I totally get that, you know, driving all the way to Indiana to visit a comic book shop and your family. But, you know, it's where are some of the stores that you look forward to eventually visiting someday? Is there a store like that? But again, tell us about your local comic shop so we can add them to our list of stores we would like to visit. All right. So again, guys, this is the time of the show where we would normally talk about things you need to be adding to your pull list this week so that your store can order them on FOC. And this is just your weekly reminder that FOC stands for Final Order Cutoff. It's the last chance your local comic shop has to change their orders. So the way ordering in comics work, if you don't know, is about 3 months before a book is released, stores place what they call their initial order, which is how many books we think we're going to sell of a given title. And usually that number is based on current subscriptions, right? So if we've got 40 people currently pulling Batman, well, at initial order, we order 40 copies. Then as we get closer to release date, we get to change those numbers at FOC. And that's when we can add or subtract based on what's happened since then. So if people decide to stop getting Batman since I placed my initial order, I can cut back. Or if there's something happening like a big event or a crossover or something that's driving more people to Batman, we can add that in at FOC. We can pick up more copies. I don't know why every time I come on the air on Tuesday nights, I get a runny nose. So weird. Anyhow, maybe it's the big bright lights. But that's what happens at FOC. So your last chance to tell your store you want something is Final Order Cutoff. And so I do have a few books like that, but we're not going to talk about those right this minute. We're going to wait and talk about those here at the end. But I'm going to bring back something that's really important, and I want to spend some real time on it. This is Previews Magazine. I mentioned it again earlier, but I'm bringing it back. Guys, Previews is the Bible for what's coming out. There are ads, there are stories, there are articles, there are comics in Previews. All designed to help you be aware of what's coming out so that you can let your retailers know what you want. For instance, this one, right on the cover, Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti with artist Moritat, featuring covers by Amanda Connor, Joe Linsner, Selena, and Frank Cho, the invincible Red Sonja. Okay, great. Now, inside this book, you can find the story of Red Sonja and what this book is and why you should pick this book up. There are a ton of resources in Previews for you, the comic book buyer. It seems like a lot. Like when you grab it, it's 511 pages. It seems like a lot. But the way I take it is I read each individual's publisher's section. I'll take 3 publishers a day and go through that section. And remember, Marvel and DC aren't in here. So I deal with those separately. And then I go back and I look at the articles and the interviews and the other things to say, hey, was there something I might have missed? Just going through each individual publisher's section. And I dog-ear pages of things I might want, and I write things down, and I make notes in my previews books so I can say, hey, I really want this book, but it comes out in a week when I'm already spending $300 on new comics. Maybe can I wait for the trade on this, or am I gonna want to make sure I have the single issues, so maybe I can cut something else? That's how I approach Previews Magazine. You remember, you also get a separate attachment. When you get this, you get a separate little catalog that is Marvel's previews. And if you head over to DC Connect, you can get DC's previews. And, again, I'm harping on previews, but the key to having a comic store be successful, and the key, I think, to being a successful comic collector is recognizing and knowing what comes out when and why you want it. Right? So this tells you when a book is coming out. Now, occasionally there will be changes, right? Berserker is a prime example. We FOC'd Berserker a few weeks ago, and so many copies got ordered that they had to push back the release date. That kind of thing happens. But this lets me know when my books are coming out, what books I want, introduces me to new books I would never have heard of otherwise, and then it lets me budget, which is the biggest thing. I can look at what comes out on a given week and say, okay, well, this week I'm going to spend $150 on new comics, and that's going to be a pain in the neck. But next week I'm only going to spend $50, and then 2 weeks after that I'm going to spend $300. So I know what to do when with my monthly budget, which is super helpful. So I encourage you, make sure you pick up a copy of Previews. It's an invaluable tool in the comic collector's toolbox. Okay, off of that pedestal, off of that pulpit, whatever. Let's talk some last minute comics. Oh, but I have to take a real quick break. I will be back. This is my shortest break of the night, guys. We will be back in just about a minute and a half with more comic book, more pull list, more books you should be adding to your pull list now so that your store can order them in a timely manner. All right, I'm back. See what I mean? Real short break. I didn't even fully have time to stretch. That is a little preview for in-stores this week. It's an older preview, but in-stores this week comes up tonight at 8 o'clock. It's me and Nick and a guy named Dan Wickline, who you should really get to know, who knows a ton about comics. Now, we've got just a few minutes left, and I want to talk about a few things. I want to go through these books that are on FOC this week that you should be adding, but I want to tell you about some events coming up here on the experience. So we'll start with the books, and then we'll go to the events. So, you guys been waiting for this one? Oh, man, I didn't even realize who the artist was on this book. Okay, I'm with you. This is Alien, #1. It's on FOC this week. Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's one of the hottest writers going right now in comics, with Salvador LaRocca as the artist. So it's going to look real creepy, guys. Like, it's going to look like an Alien movie, for sure. Sal LaRocca does great work like that. Oh, man. Huh. I wasn't going to pre-order this book. I think I have to now, right? Maybe? I don't know. This is nuts. I'm very excited because Philip Kennedy Johnson has just been amazing on his Future State stuff that he's been doing and some of the other work he's been doing at Marvel and across the indie platforms. But to add him to Alien and then to give him Sal LaRocca as the artist is just a license to print money if you're Marvel. This book is going to be fire. Oh, I wish I'd have noticed that before I put that in there. I'd have been more mentally prepared. Coming out of the King in Black, we have King in Black Scream #1. Guys, that's a lady symbiote. You know how you could tell? The hair. This is Scream. She's been around before. This is not like a first appearance or anything, but it's a new look from a new creative team. Oh, and by the way, it's part of King in Black. So you know it's just going to be, in the words of Kelly Kapoor, bananas. Even that cover has such a realism to it, but everything from King in Black has just been phenomenal. And having another tie-in with another book that, has another symbiote character, just adds to that lore. So I'm very excited for this one. You can't take the sky from them, but also, they've been around a long time. This is the new Firefly series. Firefly, a brand new verse #1. The old crew of Serenity has gone their own way, but now Emma is working to prove herself to Zoe, alongside a new crew of castaways and misfits just trying to stay afloat. But when Serenity takes a job from a familiar face, they discover that their new living, breathing cargo is far more than they bargained for, and they might bring them into conflict with the Alliance once again. Josh Lee Gordon, who wrote Firefly Bad Company, and Fabian Mascolo, who does the art on Yasmin, are doing this book. It's a new era for the Serenity. So if you're a fan of Firefly, this is for you. If you're a fan of space pirates of any kind, this book is for you. Like I said, every Firefly series has been phenomenal of late. It's just a great way to stay connected to the Brown Codaverse, as it were. To the fans of Firefly and Captain Malcolm Reynolds and all of those characters, without having the show on TV because Fox. So, Firefly brand new verse #1 comes out March 24th on FOC this week. And then finally, Shadow Doctor #2. I don't believe enough of you ordered Shadow Doctor #1, because I don't believe it's possible for enough people to have ordered Shadow Doctor #1. Shadow Doctor is the story of Peter Calloway, the writer's grandfather, whose name was Nathan Calloway, who was a mob doctor. This is the true life story of Peter Calloway, who spent his career as a mob doctor, because as a black doctor in Chicago in the the late 30s, he couldn't open a practice, couldn't get a job at a hospital, couldn't get a loan to practice medicine. So he went to the only people who would take him in, the Capone gang. And these are his real life stories of being around real life gangsters in real life Chicago. So make sure, if you didn't add Shadow Doctor for Shadow Doctor #1, make sure you pick it up starting with #2. You won't be sorry. Okay. So I want to tell you guys, those are the books that are on my pull list this week that I think you guys should be looking at. I think there's a lot of good stuff there. I think there's a really good chance that you'll find something you might not have otherwise picked up to read. So I want to tell you guys about another thing that's coming up here on the comic book shopping experience. This has been my show. And up next, we've got Minute to Skim It with Miss Jen that we do every Tuesday. We've got In Stores This Week with Nick coming up here in a little bit. But this weekend, here at the Comic Book Shopping Network, we are presenting Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics, with our friends at Peep Game Comics. They wanted to throw a convention, and we're going to stream it here exclusively on the experience. So that is Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will be bringing you the best in Black creators from both big companies and small. I don't have any comic books about evil giraffes, but if you want a comic book about a giraffe, check out Animal Noir. All right. So this is Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics, streaming only in experience. We have the best in Black creators from around the globe. People who are legendary creators, like Rodney Barnes. Let me pull up the Rodney Barnes. Like Rodney Barnes and Joseph Village and David Walker. But we also have guys like Tim Fielder and John Jennings, whose names you may not know, that are great creators as well, who you should be following if you're not already. And we bring back one of our favorites. She's been on almost every virtual convention I've done. This is Afua Richardson, who you know from, she did all the art for Lovecraft Country. And she is like a comic book octuple threat. She will be there. That will be Saturday and Sunday, the 27th and 28th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. here on the experience. So, we went through all the books that are on my pull list. We went through all of the books I think you should be adding. We've talked about Black Comics Fest. The next thing we need to talk about is our Friday night shows. Guys, here on the Comic Book Shopping Experience, we have new original programming every day, 7 days a week, whether it be interviews and sales shows or shows like this that are informational. But Friday night is super fun. Friday night, starting at 6 p.m., we have So Much Cosplay, which is hosted by Cheryl Sebulda Whitehead, who is the owner and founder of So Much Cosplay. It is a how-to cosplay show. Every week she teaches you a skill and highlights a product that will help you to be better at making your own cosplay. Literally, she's taught me more about sewing than I ever learned having to take that class in school. 1 week, she brought a thing that melts stuff. All kinds of fun stuff on her show every Friday night here on The Experience. Then following her, you have a show called Virtual Signings with Henri. It's Henri Compen, who you may know as the creator of Marks and Ishun Shin. But he sits down with independent creators and they sign their books live on the air. So you get a chance to see them sign their books live on the air, and they talk about their work. So it's a little bit interview, a little bit live sale. Then we have Talking Shop Live, where myself or one of the other people here from the Comic Book Shopping Network Comic Book Shopping Experience sits down with a creator and does just kind of chats about their life while that creator often live draws. So that's super fun. And then we end the night with Nerd News Now, presented by the Kingdom of Geekdom and Woodlands Online, which is a show that Miss Jen and I and Brainy, who you may know better as Taji Beats, do. That airs every Friday at 9 Eastern. Then on Saturdays, guys, you got to go over to Twitch. Twitch.tv/the_EXP to follow us on Twitch. Every Saturday night, we have the EXP Dance Party presented by Taji Beats and Enjoy Games and Comics, where Brainy Singh, who is a great comic book retailer, is also a awesome club DJ, spins records and plays music every week for our enjoyment to jam out to. So make sure you check out those things. You're going to be hearing more about it a lot, but I gather you don't want to hear me talk anymore. So we're going to take a real quick commercial break, and we're going to come back with Minute to Skim It and Miss Jen here on the Comic Book Shopping Experience. How did I say experience that way? It's been a long day, guys.
Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Henri Compen. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yi Sun Shin, is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Everybody, welcome to the experience and Minute to Skim It. See that Hannah's not here right now. It's because chaos has ensued this week, last week too, and we had some of our books today, but not all. What are you going to do? So I did some PDF reading, so I did do all of our reviews for today, so don't worry. I've read them, but you might not see the actual physical copy up here, just because when really chaotic weather happens between your store and where the books come from, this is kind of what happens, where you end up with a 1-day delay on comics. So don't worry. They're going to come tomorrow. Hey, Jason, I just have to say I logged in to come and do this review show, and I saw people giving love to their LCS over in the comments. I love that so much. Please feel free to do that. If you have a local comic shop that you love, that know their stuff, been taking care of you for years, or you just came in for the first time and you enjoyed a place that you went to go visit, let people know, man. That's what this place is for, is to hook people up with where to find comic books. You can also use ComicShopLocator.com if you're out and about to find a good place to go. And or you can just ask advice. I have lots of friends all over the country. I'm happy to tell you wherever you're going for a visit, I probably can send you to a spot. All right. So you're here for comic book reviews, and there are so many good books that are coming out this week. It blows my mind. The first one we're going to talk about is Two Moons. Yes, I know this is a super high-tech one. Normally I draw fun stuff. So, okay. So if you didn't know what Two Moons was about, I would just put two moons on it. No, Two Moons has nothing to do with moons whatsoever. All right. I'm going to tell you what Two Moons is about. It's a great book that takes place during the Civil War and deals with a little bit of mysticism. One of the main character you're following is Native American. Or what is a new term that is the best term? I love the term that we get to use now. It's so much better. Indigenous peoples, I think. I like it. Oh, thank you, Orda. I like it too. Because when people talk to me, it sounds like they're in the same room with me. It's kind of cool. So in this one, it's pretty straightforward war, tale telling. So it's very violent. There's wartime deaths, but there's also this interaction that seems very mystical with one of the main characters. I think you'll like it a lot if you are a fan of things like like Cat Poop 1 or Britannia from Valiant, or I'm trying to think of other things that take place in wartime. But because they're part of a specific time period, they're so rich, and the art is really, really good. So do not miss Two Moons. All right. Another fun series that I've been following. This is from Aftershock. This is Kaiju Score. All right, let's make its own cover here since we don't have a cover. You're going to see how bad my drawing is. You ready? All right, here's my kaiju and a score. Ready? Kaiju Score. So Kaiju Score number 4 continues on the storyline that started with looked like a clear-cut group of people that are trying to do a heist. In the first issue, you find out that one of the people that's part of the heist isn't who they say they are. They're pretending. And there's a lot of conflict amongst the people that are doing the heist. So imagine a 4-piece person, Ocean's 11, but with none of them are very skilled or good at what they do. And they're kind of double-crossy. But they're also trying to do this heist during what turns out to be a giant kaiju attack, where they kind of know that it's going to happen by and by near where they want to take this safe. And so they've just been waiting for the call for, it's imminent. These two kaiju are going to totally battle it out. And so they have cover for stealing this or breaking into this safe. The fun part of it is the main character that they need to be able to break into the safe is the one who's pretending to be someone they're not. So whether they can actually break into this safe is part of the problem. So in issue number 4, which is where we are now, the safe is the main character of this one, whether it gets opened or not, what's in it, and who's going to double cross who to what extent. So the thing I like about this book very much is it ends with a cliffhanger, which seems to say that there's going to be another heist that gets planned. So, all right, everybody is waiting for this one. This is Tony Fleece, Stray Dogs, which happens to be, as it turns out, a murder mystery. Here we go. There's a wanted poster. We'll make a wanted poster for puppies that are lost. Wanted poster with a puppy on it. There you go. Yeah. Wanted. Stray Dogs. I hire out really cheap for cover art, by the way. If someone wants to have really derpy cover artists, I'm on it. So Stray Dogs it's so beautiful. The art in it looks just like the art from Lady and the Tramp or 101 Dalmatians. It reads just like Disney art. And some of the characters even look like Disney characters or reminiscent of Disney characters. If you went to the pound in the Lady and the Tramp, some of those characters will look a little bit familiar to you. It's really about this one really scared dog. It looks like a long-haired Chihuahua or something like that, who's the main character. And kind of starts out with her going to the vet and getting a shot, and then kind of moves forward in time to a very confusing place where she's being introduced to a large group of dogs, like she's being brought into the family, and her getting to kind of like learn a little bit more about her new family. And she's not really excited about where she is because she has no idea why she's there. It puts forward some ideas about dogs that they have very short-term memory and can't remember anything past a certain amount of time, like that they don't have long-term memory for anything other than that's my master. So that's kind of a cool thing. I wonder if they're going to give us some science behind it so we can see where they dug up that information. But anyway, it is truly a murder mystery that is going to be solved by these dogs, ? We'll see. So there's a big, like, kind of a hook in there that I'm not going to tell you because it wrecks it for you. Don't miss Stray Dogs number 1 by Tony Fleece et al. All right, Nuclear Family number 1. This is a really awesome Aftershock book. Let's see if I can I don't even know if I can make a nuclear symbol. can't remember what it looks like right now. I'm just going to make it a nuclear explosion. There you go. I made a mushroom cloud. There you go. Nuclear family. Seems to be set right at the Cold War time. The main character is kind of just like a normal fellow who make sure I'm getting this right here. I think he's like a used car salesman. And he is a guy who has like a bunch of ham radios. And he has a crazy day at work, goes home to his family. You get to learn kind of this good friend that works with him, what kind of like a snarky dude he is. But he gets home and everything seems completely normal until, bombs start dropping from the sky. So this is kind of like, it's just a big setup for the whole story. If you like, things like, I'm trying to think, was the like Blast from the Past, where you deal with a family that's been locked down in a nuclear shelter. That's probably where this is going, although it doesn't quite get there for this first issue. But it's so good. I like setups like this. So we got 2 books this week already that are going to set in historical times, but are completely fiction. So good stuff. All right. Batman, Catwoman. Everyone's been super hyped about this one. This is the Black Label book, Tom King writing. In this issue, they seem to have found the body of someone who looks a lot like the Joker. So this is move forward in time a little bit, and still dealing with the relationship between Batman and Catwoman, of course, and has some other players inbound. William says meow. I love it. And it's kind of an interesting interplay in which they're really trying to make you doubt whether this body that has been found is Joker or not. And it jumps back and forth between characters interacting with each other. It kind of like further toward that. Doug liked Stray Dogs 1 and 2. Yeah, see? So some of us have already gotten the PDFs for both, so we've got the inside track on both issues. It's perfect. So what I found out from reading this week's Batman Catwoman, because usually it's Hannah that gets to read all the DC because I'm the one that gets to read all the Marvel. The thing that I found out is that I read that one last out of the other DC books that I tried to read this week. And I realized that the way that Tom King writes is more my style of reading, where the storyline is driven by relationship and those kinds of things, and not so much about the battle. So that's the thing I learned this week, is that if you're a person that has not gone into DC yet and kind of wonders where to start, I would say if you are a person that is historically driven by the characters themselves, like what's going on behind the scenes and the relationships and those kinds of things, if that part is the most important part for you, probably anything that Tom King is writing in the DC universe will be very helpful to you. He started at Batman Rebirth and then moved over here to this series. He also did Mr. Miracle, and I'm trying to think of some of he's doing Rorschach. All the little short series he's done has been so good. All right. Wow. All right. This is another awesome book that releases this week. This is Frank at Home on the Farm by Scout Comics. That's number 2. So in the first issue of Frank at Home on the Farm, it became very clear that it's not about the farm at all. It got real weird really quickly, in which it's clear that Frank is probably dealing with some really big psychological things. It reads like someone is dealing with PTSD from some major trauma event that happened in their life. Ooh, that's awesome. New Sheriff of Babylon print. That's good. So this book, I feel like, jumps around just as much as number 1 did, where you're not sure about time continuity, and you're not real sure if you're looking at things from Frank's point of view or whose point of view you're looking through. But it still makes me want to know what's going on and how much of what we're seeing are actual events that happened, and how much is it stuff of, I'm guessing, Frank dealing with things. And it feels so much like some of the animal characters that are part of the farm have started to become more and more like real people and less like just animals on the farm, because there's stuff that's just happening with them. Like they're getting out of their pens for reasons that he can't understand. And they seem to be very dangerous in this way. So if you like psychological thrillers, really dark stuff, that, like if you don't mind at issue 2, you still don't really know where the story is going, then Frank at Home on the Farm is totally for you. Right. I've heard from a lot of people that the Dark Detective line at Future State is one that they have been really loving. So here is Dark Detective number 4, which is the end of the Dark Detective stuff. This also has another story in it, which is about half the book, honestly, that features the Red Hood. So I did not read the Red Hood series, but I did read the Dark Detective. And it continues on with the story of the magistrate and, oh my gosh, what's the other thing called? Like Peacekeeper 1 or something? Let me make sure I got the right name for him. Like I said, I'm not usually the person that gets to read the DC, so I'm jumping in with 2 feet into the deep end. I like the costume for the Peacekeeper. It's Peacekeeper 1. Haha, I did so well. So it looks like, Batman's spending a lot of time hiding other people out, and trying to figure out what's next. It's clear they are going to move from this book straight into the Detective Comics, because it actually says so at the very end of the book. It says continues on in Detective Comics 1026 or whatever is next. So here's your reminder that if you are interested in continuing on with the storyline that has been started in these Future State books, you need to let your local comic shop know that if you want to continue this story, that you want to add Detective Comics to your polls. And also there's another section of stories that happen right after these. It goes straight into it. And I've read the solicitation for them, and it feels like they're going to be super important. Like there's going to be big new characters going to be introduced. I was going to see if I had that. There's an ad in here for it, so you guys can see what the name is. I apologize. Oh, of course, it's not going to be in this one book that I have. But it's Infinite Frontier number 0 that you need. So I'm going to read this push for the Infinite Frontier 0, so you can know you definitely need to add it. I would do it now. So it says it all starts in March's Infinite Frontier 0, a 64-page one-shot written and illustrated by DC's biggest creators, setting up the future of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Justice League, much, much more. So it feels like we're entering into a new era of DC Comics. This is from Joshua Williamson, one of the main architects of Infinite Frontier 0, a time when anything is possible. The DCU in 2021 takes the aftermath from death metal, then grabs what we love about the DC universe and launches into a bold, fun, exciting new direction. This is following the massive status quo at the conclusion of Dark Knight's death metal. Wonder Woman is front and center in Infinite Frontier 0. She's leveled up in a big way and is about to begin a new adventure, says Williamson. But before she does, the Spectre takes her on a journey across the DCU to witness events in her friends' and family's lives in search of infinite wonder and infinite terror. So there you go. There's the pitch that they've given. And I feel like I saw in solicitation that there's going to be some new characters. So there'll be first appearances in that book. So don't miss those. Also from DC, there's Generations Forged, and this one is straight from the pages of Dark Knight's Death Metal. So if you need everything that's tied into the Death Metal series, this is where you need to be. It really has so many characters that are part of this. It is all of these concentric storylines all kind of being pushed together. And I can tell you, because I haven't been reading this since the beginning, I don't, like, for example, necessarily understand the Steel storyline and how he is important to this, or why Kazar is so important to the storyline. But this is a huge amount of stuff. It is, my guess, is like an 80-page giant book, written by Dan Jurgens, Robert Venditti, Andy Schmidt. You've got all these artists: Hitch, Bernard Chang, Colleen Duran, Marco Stantuzzi, and more. So this is another tied-in book to the Death Metal universe that you should jump into. And a very Superman-centric book. This is Superman House of L. This is actually number 1. Isn't that crazy? I don't know if it's supposed to be number 2, but I have number 1 in my hand. So maybe I should have been able to understand it more since this is number 1. But again, it's another Future State book that, because I haven't been reading the Future State books in general, I don't understand how it ties to the main universe. But I thought it bared important information you guys should know about. And last but not least on the board today is By the Horns. This is a really awesome book out of Scout. We've been waiting on this for a long time, and everyone's been super hyped for it. So By the Horns is about a character who has had some tragedy happen in her past, in which it means she feels like she has to have some kind of retaliation, wait from the face of the earth unicorns. So I think a unicorn killed someone she loved. We'll find out 100% for certain later on in the book series, I think. But in this case, it really feels like she has taken that anger and just extended it to anything within her reach. So she will kill any old monster that she can find. And there's no doubting her skill. She totally has the skills. She can kill the monsters, no problem. But the problem is that in this issue, it makes it very clear that she's put herself at odds with her village, because it feels like that in her society that everyone is very important, and if someone's not, doing their part to help, that the whole village suffers. So, and they are not interested in having any more monster head soup. That's what we find out in this issue. So, there are some cool developments in here when she gets to travel to a new town where she hears a rumor about where she might find some unicorns. Ha ha ha.
Unicorns are jerks.
What? Why would you think that? Explain.
I don't know. They killed her. They killed her husband.
Was it her husband for sure?
Cost her job. Yeah, they cost her job because of her vengeance for the unicorns. Oh, and according to John Constantine, they eat human hearts.
I have not heard that part.
Yeah, unicorns are jerks.
By
the Horns is really good. I got to read it today.
Oh, you got to read it.
Very
excited.
Yes.
That's how you can say with authority.
It's a great book. I was lucky. I got to pick up. I got my copy today, and I went to the doctor, and I had a long wait in the waiting room. And I'm like, these people are gonna look at me weird. But I reach in my bag and I pull out By the Horns, and I start reading it. And like these old women at the doctor's office are just staring at me out of the corner of their eye. And I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, I usually do my review reading. Usually Hannah and I go around the corner. There's a really nice little kind of like country cafe here that has the best cheesy potatoes on the planet. But usually I have a bunch of comic books, and there's regulars that I don't know if this like this where you live, but at most restaurants, they're kind of like the people that come every day at the same time or whatever. So they see you because they're like, okay, I come every Tuesday at 3:30 and start reading. And it's so funny. There's the one fellow who I feel so bad because I really don't have extra time to talk when I go. I'm usually like going last minute to do it. And I think last week he walked up to the table and tried to engage me in a conversation. And I was just like totally focused on my book. I didn't realize until he had walked away. I was like, oh no, poor guy. But
I go to the same deli every week, and same day of the week every week, at the same time of the week every week. Anyhow, I am that guy. But no, it's true. It's when you're absorbed in a comic book, like the whole rest of the world disappears, right?
Yep.
Like your cheesy potatoes are cold. Unless you're like me, where you inhale the cheesy potatoes so you have more time to read.
I actually do that first because I don't want to have cold cheesy potatoes.
Right. Well, it's like today I went to lunch. I had some time between meetings. I went to lunch. I ordered a pizza, a little personal pan pizza. I start reading a comic. I answer an email. I look over, my pizza's been sitting there. Oh, and there's the check. And I'm going, how long has the pizza been here? And the waitress is like, about 20 minutes. All right, cold pizza for lunch.
Cold pizza, cold pizza is probably fine. And actually, I've learned that, as Pat says, cold cheesy potatoes are fine, or they never get old. I guess.
No, cheesy potatoes never get cold. You monster, Pat. I don't even like cheesy potatoes. I like cheesy French fries. Close enough.
That counts.
It's a potato-based substance.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah. So, which of the books that came out this week are you most excited for the number 2 of? Like, of the number 1s that came out? Because there were some really monster number 1s this week.
Yeah, there really are. That's going to be a hard one. Probably Stray Dogs, because I'm a sucker for true crime, even if it's not true crime.
That's fair. I could see that. It's like, for me, I knew Two Moons was going to be right up my alley when I first read the solicitation.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't got a chance to read it yet. I'll get my copy tomorrow. But everything about that book just screams, I'm going to not want to wait a month between releases. And so I'm going to start pestering people about, hey, can I get PDFs? Hey, can I read this early? Hey, can you send me the entire trade? Like now? Because that's just, kind of my brain. But, I'm also very, very excited for By the Horns, right? The story is so unique. I can't think of another book I've read in a long time that's like it.
Well, no, because usually when you have books about unicorns, I feel like they're always about them being helpful, or like you want to have one for a pet. They're never really, in my mind, been kind of presented as a dangerous creature to be feared, or to go and try to kill them all. I don't know.
No, it's true. I mean, like I said, Pat Last Ronin came out last week. Mm-hmm. We could talk about Last Ronin in incredibly vivid detail, but it didn't come out this week. So,
yeah, I feel like really off this week because we still don't have in person the books from last week because of all the chaotic weather. Shanna's over there going, ah! So we have to do chaotic things like draw our own covers. So we have pretend copies to show people.
Hey, if James or Charlie is out there in the comments, I want a Jen King exclusive cover for something. Can you make that happen?
What I think my best one today was Kaiju Score. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty good dinosaur. There you go, it's a kaiju for sure. Mm-hmm. Rawr.
It's true. I mean, I'm sure you could draw, like, if you had to do a Frank at Home on the Farm exclusive, like you could draw a pig or something. I'm sure.
Yeah. The secret is I can draw really well. I am a great artist, but I have to have the thing sitting in front of me. It can't, like, that's as good as it gets if I have to, like, think of, what's a kaiju look like? And then make my hand do that. I really horrible at it. But if I had a picture of anything, I could recreate it. No problem.
Yeah, my drawing skills are incredibly limited to I can draw real things that, are sitting in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And only if someone else comes back after me and makes them make sense. I occasionally have to do graphic design work where it's like, okay, draw this thing. And I'm like, yeah, but we're going to have to pay another artist to make that thing look like that thing. I can do it, but not
yeah.
So,
yeah.
So are you going to have your books from last week tomorrow?
I am. I actually talked to Diamond, and that was their best guess because everything left their facility on Monday, and so it had a normal delay. Normally always our comics leave their facility on Monday, and we get them on Tuesday. But just because of all the backlog from the chaos from last week, I think they were saying tomorrow. So my staff is doing all the prep work, which honestly makes their lives so hard. It's so much better to have the books and be able to do it. But they're trying desperately to have everything ready, like printing out all the labels and and they're hitting me with their eyes right now because I'm making them draw their own versions of covers because we ran out of ink for the printer.
In my brain, I see Jenna and Hannah and Shanice and everybody standing at a table, like with chains around their ankles, making bags and boards and printing labels. And Hannah's with one of those giant megaphones, like from a television, from a cartoon, where they're rowing, just, to keep going. Like in my mind, it's like a Viking ship or something.
We're actually all very giddy right now because we've been without water at the store for the last 3 days, and they just came around the corner and said they had gotten the main water pipe patched. So we have water again, which means we'll have pizza tomorrow.
Pat would like to purchase the covers that they draw.
I'd buy your staff covers. Oh no. Well, the truth of the matter is that when we have our crazy live sale, we use these, and whoever gets the last copy gets the crazy cover. So it's a collectible. Someday I know that I'm going to come across someone who has gone and gotten it CGC'd just because, to be silly.
Yeah, I've gotten dumb stuff CGC'd. For no reason other than to be like, I'm the only person in the world who has this CGC'd. Or I'm the only person in the world who, got this book that's literally worth no money, signed by this person who had nothing to do with it, just so I could say I did. So
yeah, we had that happen. This is a true story that's really funny. So Z2 Comics, which is an amazing comic company, does a lot of partnerships to create usually original graphic novels with were usually considered musical artists only. So like Poppy and Skillet, and
they did one with from the Black Keys. I'm gonna forget his name, but from the Black Keys, and then a guy who was on The Voice for a while, or America's Got Talent. Yeah,
there's a lot of people out there that are multi-talented people. Mm-hmm. But when we signed up to have Skillet come to the store because I'm a freaked out person over Skillet. I love them so much. And so, they came, and I wanted to keep the crowd happy because it was a pretty long line in the store. And this is definitely pre-COVID time. And so I went in the back room and I grabbed a free comic book day book that I thought people might find interesting to read while they were in line, and it was our store variant of Bloodshot #1, I think. And so I handed it to everybody and said, I'm just giving this to you for free. But what I didn't realize is that a great many of them were there and knew the band but didn't know anything about comic books, and so a lot of them handed them to the band to get autographed. So there's a whole bunch of Bloodshot free comic book day books out there with Skillet's autographs on it for no reason whatsoever.
I remember when Skillet hit the scene, kind of. They were on a sampler that came out from their label with a bunch of other kind of new core sort of metal and heavier pop. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing Skillet going, oh, this is the only band on this sampler that's going to make it. And they were. Man, those were the days though. Like when you could go to the record store and get like a sampler from, Sub Pop or whoever, and it'd be 13 different tracks by 13 different bands. You go, none of these are gonna be around in 5 years.
Yeah, I worked
Yeah.
for I think a solid 2 years. I worked at what would be called a record store, but there's no records. This is back when there were tapes and CDs, and you could buy laser discs at the same store. But in the back room, there was a whole giant box of what we would call demo CDs and demo tapes that people would send so that you would be able to take it home, listen to the music, so you could be more effective at selling it. Just like with comic books, here's a sample comic book to read, so you're more effective at being able to sell it. And I can remember that that manager was a pretty controlling manager. He got stuff done. I have to say that we knew we couldn't goof off at all, but there was like a seniority to the choosing of those tapes when there were time to like let them go from the store and give them away to the employees. And I can remember just being like, man, I'm the greenhorn. I'm never getting anything good. But I found some good stuff in there from things that people had rejected. So
Yeah. We when I worked at the radio station, every once in a while we'd have to clean out the CD closet, which is the same things. People would send us demos, but by that point in corporate radio, you weren't allowed to play anything that wasn't cleared by the parent company. So people would still send you demos, but you couldn't do anything with them. So they just go in a CD closet, and we'd usually wind up giving them out as prizes, and like somebody would need something for a charity auction, and one of those bands would hit, and we would, hey, here's their demo. One of the bands that I remember doing that was Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh wow!
They sent us their demo, and then they hit, and so we would like give those demos out. But we're cleaning it out, and I wound up with a Weird Al radio show. It was a 1-hour special celebrating Weird Al, hosted by Tom Lennon and Ben David Garant, who at the time were superstars for Reno 911.
Oh no, that's awesome.
And if you listen to this show, it's just so off the rails. There's no way it ever could have actually aired on the radio. But it's like one of my prized possessions because there's not many out there. They don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But it was super cool, And speaking of that, we'll bring it back around to comics. That's what ash cans are, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Do you have any ash cans that you've gotten over time that you're like, nah, I'm holding on to this. This one's something. I got to keep this.
I'm trying to remember if I've kept anything at home. So my problem is that if I really, really love something, I have a hard time holding on to it and not handing it off to somebody else so they can share my love of the thing. So almost everything I've ever owned that I've loved that's comic book related, I've managed to hand off to other folks. Like the things that if somebody knows that I love something a bunch and they're a creator, they'll usually send me something that I can't give away, that like they write my name in it, or it's like a one of a kind thing that's Jen. Then right. I hold on to it, but otherwise I will try to figure out a way to give it to charity or I don't know. I'm weird that way. But it does mean I don't have a lot of, like superfluous stuff in my life, like just random stuff in boxes. At the store, I've got all kinds of that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm sure that if I spent time just like digging through the stacks, I'd find, true gold back there somewhere.
Yeah. So next week, Minute to Skim It will be back to normal. You get to see Miss Hannah again, and you won't have to see my ugly mug. And, there will be a ton of new books to cover.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I wish I had more time to have read more books because I could have PDF'd a bunch of Marvel because there's some great Marvel that's also dropping. But because of water chaos, things got all kinds of messed up.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, Miss Jen, where can people see your shows the rest of this week?
I've got a bunch of fun stuff going on every week. So right after this, I show up on the Comic Book Shopping Network, and that's going to be what we call tomorrow's Comics Tuesday. So you get to claim your books for things that are going to arrive on the stands tomorrow. So you don't just have to sweat it out and wonder if I'm going to be able to get it. And then I also have on Wednesday morning, a Wednesday morning walk around, which is a whole hour of walking around my main space in my store with my phone facing out, and you guys get to drive me like a bus. That's what I say. You get to kind of shop like you're in-person shopping at the store. And then what else is going on this week? Thursday, I've got a really fun show I love doing called What's in the Box, which who knows what's in the box? There are boxes that I don't know what's in those boxes. So it's fun. It's an exploration of boxes for you and for me. There's a what's in the box. Yeah. And then let's see. You don't have to see my ugly mug on Fridays usually, but Saturday night on the Comic Book Shopping Network, I come back on and I have got a really great show. And that's usually where for collections that I've just taken in. So if I buy it on that weekend, I process it and it gets seen first for there. So I love doing all of those shows because they're also different. And you'll see me pop up on other people's shows too, because I like to help out for other people. So the thing that you guys do need to focus on though is what's going on this weekend. It's the thing I want to tune in the most to. It's the Black Comics Universe celebration of Black History Month put on by Peep Game Comics and has my good friend Afua Richardson coming on. I'm so excited to see her talk to you guys about all the stuff she has going on, and like David Walker and some other names that I don't know if I'm allowed to say because I don't know if we've formally announced them yet, but it's going to blow your mind. Going to blow your mind, all this is like, can I say Joe Illidge? I can say Joe Illidge? Yeah. Yeah, there's some names that we're so thrilled that we're going to get to talk to, and we hope we introduce you guys to people that we maybe have not heard of in comic books, but you've actually read and enjoyed their things before and just didn't know who it was. And now you'll be able to connect the person with the creation and be able to, if you say to yourself, oh, I really like that one thing that I know they did, I now need to go and read all the stuff that they did because I know now who they are and I can become a super fan. So definitely tune in this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Is that right? Saturday, Sunday? Not Friday, Saturday? Okay. I've been saying it wrong all week, so. Oh my goodness. Yep, that's all.
Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 6.
10 to 6, that's right, 10 to 6. Yeah, we're going to have so much fun.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll let you wrap up your show.
All right, thanks everybody for joining me for a minute to skim it. I apologize for the different way that this is running today. Don't worry, next week we'll have Hannah back and she'll be able to tell us all about the cool DC books and actually know what she's talking about and not be like me and say, that was a cool book, but I don't know what's going on. All right, everybody, we'll see you guys next week for a minute to skim it on the experience.
Fight Club.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle. See, I seem to be Kyle. This is normally the second part of the pull list show. We're going to do something different starting tonight. Hopefully you guys will like it, and if you don't, we'll switch back. I can see already by the number of people in the room that you don't, so we will switch back. No, I'm kidding. This is the EXP News Break, which is something new we're going to do where every week we do about 15 minutes of news in between Miss Jen's show and in stores this week with Nick, which is coming up in just a few minutes here on The Experience. So we're just going to go over some news stories I found. If you saw something that you want to talk about news story-wise, put it in the comments, and we'll try and get to it. But we got a full list today of everything coming to Disney Plus in March, which means it's not all just the end of WandaVision. Starting February, March 5th, we get, we don't really get anything comic book related March 5th other than the WandaVision finale, right? But we also get something that may be fun for the whole family, Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties. Let's just move on to the WandaVision finale. Look, we're all excited for WandaVision. We got 2 more episodes left. We don't know, most of us don't know what's going on. We've all got our theories. What are your theories? Tell me your WandaVision theories in the comments. Don't be too spoilery though. If you ruin it for somebody else, we'll all be sad. But then Friday, March 12th, we get something really interesting and another family-friendly thing that's super interesting in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. But we get Marvel Studios assembled. The premiere is the making of WandaVision. So it's like they did for Mandalorian. It's a kind of a behind-the-scenes look at how they made WandaVision and what went on backstage at WandaVision, which is super exciting. Then the day we've all been waiting for, Friday, March 19th, we get Big Hero 6, the series, Season 3. No, I'm kidding. Falcon and the Winter Soldier comes out that day, guys. Like, Anthony Mackie is Sam Wilson, Sebastian Stan is Bucky Barnes. No, nothing. Not ringing any bells. Nobody wants to comment and be like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Well, it's happening. That's the day, guys. We get Friday, February 19th, or Friday, March 19th. We get the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is super exciting. And then March 26th, because it can't all be uphill from there. But we get a new episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, plus Mighty Ducks Game Changers, plus Inside Pixar Foundations, which is kind of an inside look at what's happening at the Pixar studios. Right? Thank you, Pat. Pat is so excited for Bucky and Sam. Like, let's be real. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, we get Inside Pixar, which is a look, some more of those looks at the goings on behind the scenes at Pixar Studios. Another batch of the episodes for that show also coming March 26th. So again, if you head out there, the list is out now officially with the full list of release for Disney Plus for the month of March. Right? Game Changers too. Like, if you're a person of a certain age, Mighty Ducks is like super important to you. If you are super into hockey, but you really don't know anything about hockey, it's probably because of the Mighty Ducks. I don't understand a thing about hockey, but I super dig hockey because of the Mighty Ducks. So that's going to be exciting. But the end of WandaVision and the beginning of Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Come on now. Like, you can't, that's a big month for comic book fans. So very excited for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Not so excited for WandaVision to be over. I'm finally behind WandaVision. Like, it took me a month, but I'm finally there. So Simon McQuoid, who directed the new upcoming Mortal Kombat movie, finally got around to telling us which Sub-Zero was in it. Because, there's a bunch of different Sub-Zeros, but this one will feature Bai Han, the original Sub-Zero, heavily in the film. He was talking to IGN, and he says Bai Han will be the first of the film's prime antagonist. And you can see him in the trailer, which came out this week. So that's super exciting. He savagely rips off Jack's arms while engaging in combat with Scorpion. So he literally rips Jack's arms off and beats him with them, which is something my mom has threatened to do to me numerous times, but I believe Sub-Zero could do it. So, I grew up playing the... they have one of the hockey bros from Letterkenny in it. Okay, so Mighty Ducks Game Changers is going to have some dudes from Letterkenny. Awesome. But did you guys grow up playing the Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet like at Pizza Hut? Anybody else? No? Maybe? I don't know. But it's cool to have the original Sub-Zero back in a movie. Set photos from Hawkeye, from the Disney Plus people, have spoiled or shown that Haley Steinfeld is playing Kate Bishop. There are photos of her in the costume and with the bow and aiming the bow during filming. So maybe she shoots it. Don't really know. But Marvel Studios and Disney Plus's Hawkeye is currently shooting, and we do have shots of Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. It's a pretty good look. She seems like great casting for that. She's a very great young actor. And I think she could totally play it well. But she's also a big hint at the Young Avengers, right? So you've got the Young Avengers, would be Kate Bishop from Hawkeye. Then you've already got Billy and Tommy from Maximoff from WandaVision. And I don't remember. I'm trying to remember from the second Ant-Man movie. Do we meet Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie, who goes by Stature? And then, we know that coming in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we're getting America Chavez. So you have all of the Young Avengers existing. So maybe do we get to see a Young Avengers movie coming soon? We don't know, but these set photos definitely give us more clues that that's something that could happen. Marvel has delayed several Venom-centric titles, including the finale to King in Black. This is just recently reported, but Marvel has pushed back the release date of several Venom-related titles, including the final issue of King in Black and Venom 200. Part of that... Thank you, Pat. I couldn't remember. As Ant-Man is one of those characters I progressively try to block out of my brain because I want the whole movie to be about the guy Michael Pena plays. I don't remember all of the things, so that's helpful. But per a report from Newsarama, King in Black #5, which ends the miniseries, has been pushed back 2 weeks to a new release date of April 7. Following suit are Venom 34, which will also release April 7th, and Venom 200, which will now release May 5th, which marks the end of Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's run on Venom. The delays also extend to tie-in stories. The final issue of King in Black, Planet of the Symbiotes, will go on sale April 7th, while Fantastic Four 30 will go on sale April 14th. Marvel did not give a reason for the delays, but based on, the fact that the whole world is covered in ice, you can guess it's probably logistical. And if it's not logistical, then I'm okay with them waiting, slowing down. I don't need 30 Venom books every week. Slowing down, pushing it back. I don't know what Jen is doing, but I can see her gesticulating wildly to her staff in the bottom corner of my screen, and it's totally distracting me, and I'm here for it. I think she's playing basketball. Okay. But no, Venom is delayed. Venom is delayed. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Venom is delayed. Image Comics. Did you read Rat Queens from Image Comics? I did. I loved it. Rat Queens has been announced for Image Comics and Deepwater Games. Shout out to Deepwater Games. Is launching a Kickstarter for Rat Queens, the board game based on the fan favorite Image Comics series. We play ads for Deepwater Games here on the network. They're good friends of ours. But Rat Queens, the game, is coming to Kickstarter this summer. It'll be a deck building game designed for up to 4 players with a 1-player option. It also boasts a co-op learn as you go mechanic, as players learn to manage the relationships between the different queens in the game. So we're going back to a real popular book from Image in Rat Queens, coming out as a board game in this new kind of cooperative deck builder format that is becoming so popular in the gaming community. It sounds like this seems like a really good collaboration, because Deepwater Games, as you remember, put out Claim, which then became a comic book. They've put out other games that are directly comic book related in that way. So it seems like a good match between the two of them. Shout out to our friends at Deepwater Games. DC, do you guys listen to podcasts? What are your favorite podcasts? Put them in the comments. Tell me your favorite podcast. What podcast do you listen to? Are you a true crime guy or a true crime person? Do you like to listen to celebrities talk about celebrity stuff? Do you like to listen to celebrities talk about regular stuff? One of my favorite types of podcasts is the Rewatch podcast, which is you listen to people talk about watching a show that you watch along with them. I currently am listening to The Office Ladies, which is an Office Rewatch podcast, as well as going back through the West Wing Weekly, which is the West Wing Rewatch podcast. Those are two of my favorites, but Spotify has teamed up with DC for some DC-themed podcasts. Oh, yeah, Fake Doctors, Real Friends, a Scrubs Rewatch podcast with Zach Braff and Donald Faison. But Spotify has teamed up with DC for some DC-themed podcasts. Warner Brothers, DC, and Spotify are continuing their partnership with a new slate of DC-themed podcasts, reports CBR. Scripted audio dramas based on Wonder Woman and Joker are among the new slate of DC-themed podcasts coming to Spotify. They joined Batman Unburied, which was the first DC podcast produced by Spotify. And it comes from the person who did the Dark Knight Rises audiobook, David S. Goyer. DC and Spotify reached a multi-year agreement in 2020 for narrative scripted podcasts featuring DC superheroes and villains. Some of the characters to be featured in the Spotify podcast are Superman, Lois Lane, Wonder Woman, Joker, Catwoman, Katana, the Riddler, Batgirl, and Harley Quinn. Look, I don't know how many of you drive a lot like I do, but podcasts are great for that. And if you can get a superhero story out of a podcast and you don't have to listen to another podcast about a serial killer, that's a winner. I know Jen's down there shaking her head because she loves the serial killer stories. She's into true crime. But what's better than true crime? Fake crime with a dude who looks vaguely like a clown. Just saying. The Joker is better than any real serial killer you're ever going to meet. I'm just saying. Not sorry. And the last piece of news I have to share is that Spider-Man 3 is trolling its fans, and I'm here for it. Tom Holland and Jacob Batalon have trolled fans by revealing several official titles of the third film from the Spider-Man series. Both stars posted title cards on Instagram: Spider-Man Phone Home, Spider-Man Home Wrecker. The two also shared the first stills from the film, showcasing Holland's Peter Parker, Batalon's Ned Leeds, and Zendaya's MJ exploring what appears to be an abandoned house / basement. I want them to call it Spider-Man 3 Spider-Man Goes to Camp, as an homage to Ernest Goes to Camp, the greatest trilogy ever made. But they're not going to do that because nobody asks me. So, this has been the EXP News Break. I hope I shared actual news with you and not just my jokes as I read the news, because I never take anything seriously. But we will be back in just a few minutes, joined by Dan Wickline. Nikki will be here. We'll be back for In Stores this week with Nick and Friends. I am a Friends. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay tuned here on the EXP.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
What's up, everybody? We're back. This is Friends. I am Kyle. We're going to bring in Nick. This is in stores this week with Nick and Friends. There's Nick.
Yo.
I am Friends. And we're going to bring in one further friend in Dan Wickline. Dan, any luck?
We there?
He'll be back. We're still figuring out some of the technical kerfuffle, but we're getting there.
Is that the professional term? Technical
Kerfuffle?
For
Yeah. It's a word I use so I don't swear. Oh, I get it. He comes in as not Kyle.
Well, you seem to be Kyle.
I seem to be.
Yeah.
I got a whole lot of comics.
Nick does have a whole lot of comics.
He does seem to, yeah.
Please stand by.
I like comics a lot.
So do I.
Yeah, they are right.
I was
all
telling
right.
Jen the story.
Kick knock Kyle out. They're all right.
I was telling Jen the story. I had a doctor's appointment this afternoon, and I'm sitting in the waiting room. And usually I'm only there a couple of minutes, but it was taking some time today. So I reached in my bag and I pulled out a copy of a book that came out this week that I was lucky enough to get an advanced copy of. And it's a book called By the Horns. So I'm reading this book about killing unicorns in the waiting room at the doctor's, and all of these 85-year-old women who go to the doctor in the middle of the day, like, are just staring at me out of the corner of their eye. Like, what is this? You know, they did not.
Is it kind of like, what is this?
No, they're like, clearly he's not, we can't pair him up with my daughter, or whatever. It was all that kind of look like. That's a grown man reading a comic book?
What kind of doctor did you bring your mom to?
It wasn't my mom. I was for me.
Oh,
I was the one that took my mom to the doctor.
That's right. Not Kyle did. Not Kyle.
Right.
Not Kyle brought his mom to the doctor. Not Kyle.
Yes. Not Kyle. Not Kyle did. Right.
Not Kyle did. Not Kyle.
Exactly.
Not Kyle did. Not Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to, you know what? Let's talk about WandaVision.
I'll say, who's on first?
Right?
Yeah.
It's true. Let's talk about WandaVision.
We can talk about WandaVision because we got to get to in stores this week with Nick and friends. But right now, WandaVision, holy ho! Is that the best show on TV or what?
Hands down. I mean, that's just a phenomenal. I mean, I do a podcast on Sunday nights just talking about WandaVision right now.
It is unbelievably fantastic. Like, hands down, oh my God. Though the writers on that show should write every TV series out there.
I don't know about that, but
okay. How about this? How about this? How about this? Have them. There's a certain hero that is a. I don't want to say which it is because this is no disrespect to anybody, but if the character would stop friggin' brooding, I'd like him again. If only he would go without brooding, because that's not what he's known for. He got the girl. He married the girl.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So, if you think about it, it'll come to you in a flash.
No, I know. I knew what you were talking about. But it's so common that that's a thing they do. They get the girl, they marry the girl, they brood. Every comic book ever.
Oh yeah.
But
they canceled Arrow, so he kind of has to take over the brooding spot.
Someone has to brood.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
I will take Supergirl brooding. I mean, I would be good with that. She's hot. I could stand to stare at that. But no, back on topic. When they announced Agatha, spoilers if you haven't seen it, Agatha, I literally came up off the couch and was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because the things that Agatha unlocks, like she is such a key to so much. I mean, for those of you who don't know, I mean, Agatha was Reed Richards' babysitter.
Yep.
Burned at the stake during the witch trials. Key to Mephisto and a lot of the dark side. Chthon, her son Nicholas Scratch. Just
Dormammu.
Well, Dormammu's already in the MCU,
right? But now you can tie them together.
Yeah, absolutely. Which they're going. I mean, Wanda's going to be in Doctor Strange too.
So. And the best part, we finally got a mid-credit scene.
Yes.
I mean, I've been watching every week. Where's the mid-credit scene? Okay, if it's not going to be good, I'm glad it's not there. Where's the mid-credit scene? Okay, if it's not going to be good, I'm glad it's not there. Where's the mid-credit scene? Okay, if it's not going to be good, I'm glad it's not there. Where's the mid-credit scene? We freaking put in a mid-credit scene, darn it! And then finally they put it in.
I think the biggest mystery remaining in the series has to be which of her 37 nicknames Monica Rambeau is going to go by.
Yeah, right.
Spectrum, Photon, Pulsar, Daylight, or whatever it is, Lady of the Light, Daystar, excuse me, Captain Marvel.
Right. No, I hear you. That's a big one. Yeah. But my question that I would like to have answered is simple. Really, it's which devil being is which devil being is going to be the one who's really pulling the strings, right? Are we tying this directly to Doctor Strange and Dormammu? Or is it she's doing the bidding of Mephisto? Or is it some of both? And oh, by the way, at what point do we get to see Reed? Like, you've got to have a Reed Richards story because that's her canon. That's her origin story.
Here's the thing. I don't think you need Reed Richards. And what I will say is I think that it is absolutely going to pull out of West Coast Avengers. I think it's absolutely going to be that piece of Mephisto. I forget who's a character that came from a piece of Mephisto.
Well, I know her two kids come from part of his soul.
Right, but wasn't one of the characters they fought the character who had the two kids on his arms?
Master Pandemonium.
Yeah, I think it might be Master Pandemonium. I think
I get behind that.
There is so much coming from West Coast Avengers. It is incredible how much is coming from West Coast Avengers. I absolutely, positively am convinced it's Master Pandemonium.
I have a feeling that they might do like an amalgam of different characters because we're not going to get to all these characters over the years because, we're not looking at weekly books. We're looking at...
Dude, we never thought we would get this far. I mean, who thought in 2008 we would get this far?
Right.
I mean, Feige has created a universe, and I mean a universe because I got to tell you, this is the truest universe ever to the comics. No ifs, ands, or buts. No one ever thought that any comic universe would be this true to the source material. We've got decades of Feige making this great. So,
But I think they may pull from. Okay, we're going to get some from the Mephisto stories, some from Nightmare, stuff like that, and kind of maybe we'll end up with Nightmare because it's kind of an easier name. But he'll have aspects of like Chthon and Mephisto because I think whoever we get is going to pull from multiple stories from those characters, and I think it'll be whoever it is will carry over to the Multiverse of Madness story.
Right.
So I think we'll meet who it is, but it will not be like defeated in this series. No way.
It's going to be exciting. I just hope there actually really is a 10th episode because this is the show where you're like, oh my God, when was the last show that you watched that you were like, that's it? That's all they gave us? This is that show all over again. But you know what? I will take less episodes to be this great. I mean, it's like I have so far, not the first weekend or the second weekend, not the first 3 episodes, but after that 3rd episode, I want to wait up till 3 a.m. just to watch the next episode. And I already work till 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, but I just know if I watch the episode and get excited, I'm never going to go to bed.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
It's just not going to happen. So Friday night's my guilty pleasure.
I like the first 3 episodes great. I hated the middle 3 because it felt like they were trying to shoehorn it into the square-jawed, trench coat wearing, sword, shield, yada yada yada, like everything else. They just wanted a new Agent Coulson on it. They wanted to be, Agents of Shield, except Agents of Sword for a minute. And every episode though had a little bit that I was like, yes, I'm in. Whether it's recasting Pietro or it's, some of the stuff with Jimmy Woo, is that his name?
Yeah, Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy Woo and the girl from Thor, Kat Dennings' character,
Darcy Lewis.
Yes, them or then in this, but the whole Hex expanding at the end of episode 6, but then this last episode, just boom.
I gotta disagree with Joel. I think this is too small for Dormammu. This is just too small for Dormammu. No matter how powerful Scarlet Witch is, it doesn't fit, in my opinion. I really think that this is as grounded as superhero comics can be. This is way more grounded, and that's why it has to be Master Pandemonium. It has to follow that story. It's and you gotta love the scene. I gotta tell you, listen, everybody knows I have no. I'm just thinking of new songs. There you go. So you're just going for the rhyme, Joel. Got it. You got to love the scene where Pietro goes, come on, it's not like your dead husband can die again. And she turns around and shoots. It was like,
oh, yeah.
It was so...
Every episode had one little thing that was just like, all right, that redeems this episode.
Yeah.
I thought they were kind of meh, but then it's all paying off now. So I will deal with a whole boatload of meh.
I will hands down disagree on the Met, and I'm sorry to interrupt. That is the one thing I'll hands down disagree. There were plot building points, and that's the way I looked at them. Like if this was all action, this would not be this great TV series.
Yeah.
And
No, I wanted it to be. I wanted it to truly be like the sitcoms, like the first couple episodes where it's a true weird superhero sitcom.
Kyle is definitely the minority because a lot of people were complaining that the first 3 episodes were too slow or too silly, and then they got hooked on episode 4. Kyle's the opposite. Kyle loved the sitcom nostalgia, I guess.
I loved it too. I loved it too, and I love the progression. The thing is the entire thing is just a perfect combination. It's just a great progression. And the thing, you know what the funny thing is, in my opinion, the thing people hated, the people that didn't like it, the thing they hated, sorry, I'm an old man, they use a slow build up so that you can't get away with in the movie. Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing that people hated, the fact that the first 2 episodes were so slow that the 3rd episode is exactly what drew them back in, just like the thing that everybody loved, the fact that they were throwbacks, the fact that they were so slow drew you back in. It is, I can't believe how great. I'm not like, oh, I'm surprised it was good. I'm just surprised it's this great.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the best TV series in the last 10 years.
My line, and then we'll get back to we'll go to talking about comics, is that
I
thought they had a chance with those first few episodes to really do something unique and different than we had previously seen with a superhero property. Truly unique and one of a kind. And it can only happen with these 2 characters because it's already weird enough, right? Wanda and Vision. But then they tried to fit in that sort of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. feel where they've got this government organization doing government organization stuff. And it felt like it was abandoning that thing. But again, every episode had little bits that got me there.
Yeah. Well,
it got me to love it. And then we get to this last episode and it all kind of culminates. And I'm like, okay, all of those episodes I thought were meh are now awesome.
Yeah.
From a writer's point of view, really quick, I think what they did was they used the different formats to create different parts of the show. They needed to establish that there was a love relationship between Wanda and Vision that hadn't really been really well established in the movies. And they used the sitcom format because we're all used to having relationships built up in sitcoms. And that's why they did it over the first 3 or 4 episodes. And then when they switched to the Malcolm in the Middle format, that was where they highlighted the kids and got us attached to the kids because that made the kids a focus and the parents were less focused. And now when we're supposed to start thinking that Wanda is the evil one, we switch to the more modern day sitcom where everybody's a little more selfish, a little more self-centered. So they're using the different sitcom genres as kind of a crutch to help move along the character building.
Yeah, it's the character building, the emotional resonance.
Right.
No,
at the same time, they're using the sword stuff to help build the mystery, which is brilliant. I mean, what they're doing is they're using multiple genres to paint this huge canvas of a story that you can only imagine how big it's going to be when we're done.
Whoever would have thought all those stories from Steve Englehart, Bob Hall, Richard Howell, Stephen Grant, all these great writers that touch these characters, that this would be the most talked about TV series that the comics industry has. I mean, seriously, who would have thought that?
I mean, was it John Byrne did most of the West Coast Avengers stuff?
Yep. It was
and
all
the whole
Byrne.
Master Pandemonium and the kids disappearing. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this wraps up because now that they've created this level of television, they have to stick the landing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's no chance that there's any other TV series they're going to do is going to be like this. I mean, this had everything left field that you could get thrown in. I mean, it was there's no other TV series that can have this kind. I mean, put it this way, my initial thought, as Dan knows, I always thought, I didn't know where Agatha really played into this. But I always thought it was Wanda's conscious and subconscious fighting each other. Like something pushed her over the edge. and her conscience was just acting bad. And when she said she couldn't save the dog, she couldn't bring it back to life, that was her subconscious fighting. But basically, she's literally just been manipulated, overpowered, and her subconscious is trying to fight the manipulation.
Oh, I knew Agnes killed the dog the moment that happened.
I thought she did, but then I'm sitting there like,
I just thought she was a sociopath.
yeah, well, then you look back and you're like, oh, she just wanted the kids to age 5 more years.
I was trying to start the hashtag Justice for Sparky. I had it out there, had a graphic to go with it, the whole thing, Justice for Sparky.
The first thing you need to do once you do that is you actually have to hit send.
I did. It's out there.
Oh, in that case, never mind.
Yeah, it didn't do good, but I put it out there.
Whoa. Now you can do Justice for Sparky. Now it would be bigger. Speaking of animals, how about stray dogs?
Stray dogs.
Tony Fleece. Tony's an old friend, and that is just an amazing looking book. I love the concept of it.
It is just so, it's a tearjerker. I mean, I am going to show the pages that really, really affect you looking into this. In stores this week with Nick is talking about everybody's comics. It doesn't matter if it's Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, Dynamite, Boom, IDW, American Mythology, Oni Press, SourcePoint Press, Scout, Zenoscope, Fantagraphics. We talk about them all. So this is one of the best books, in my opinion, Dark Horse could put out. I'm sorry, Image has put out that is so different. Speaking of WandaVision, speaking of Sparky, speaking of everything, this is one of the best books Image has put out. And talk about left field, Tony killed it with this first issue. It is so fantastic. It is in the top 5 surprise books of the week. So that'll be that list. Surprise top 5 books of the week.
The elevator pitch for that, the one-liner is Lady and the Tramp meets Silence of the Lambs. How is that not alone enough to get you to at least pick the book up?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Daniel, do me a favor. Pop us a link to see the TikTok.
Oh, they're all over the place on the TikToks. If you're not already on the
he's got a specific one in mind. So
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. But there are tons and tons of TikToks about WandaVision. And they're all a little more crazy than the next. But if any of them are 10% right,
my favorite is that Jimmy
world of fun.
My favorite is that Jimmy Woo is Mephisto.
Don't see that at all.
I know, but that's one of them out there.
Yeah, but if it happens,
that's.
Well, I was already wrong about the subconscious and conscious. So, if Jimmy Woo was Mephisto, how does that work? What's his end goal? What's his end game if he's Mephisto?
He's obsessed with magic ever since learning the card trick, and he wants all of Wanda's magic.
So why doesn't he just go in there and be Pietro?
Well, the more he's siphoning off her magic by making her use more and more of it.
Okay.
Hey, it's not my theory. I just said.
Yeah,
I just
one
think
of the theories on the Tickety Talks, though.
Yep.
The Tickety Talks.
The Tickety Talks.
You know what all the youngins are saying, don't you?
No, they're not saying that. I'm saying that as I'm an old person.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But if you go on TikTok, guys, and you're looking for somebody to follow, check out Jay Fosgett on TikTok. He's a great artist. He worked for Marvel, Disney, Jim Henson, all of these great people. He's a wonderful cartoonist. He understands cartooning better than any person alive, I would say. And he does speed drawing on TikTok, and it's amazing. To bring it back to comic books.
Yeah, what we're talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about comics, and if we're going to talk about Mephisto, and if we're going to talk about a little bit of devil in the details, let's talk a little bit about Spider-Man 60, where it looks like they're revisiting One More Day.
I got that feel from the look of it, yeah. But it's Mark Bagley, so I'm going to look at it anyway.
Exactly. Mark is an unbelievable artist. John Dell is a great inker over him.
Yeah.
And this is just, now I think more than John Dell inked it, actually. Let me look. But definitely I see some. Okay, Andrew Hennessy who's really good as well over Mark. They're both great, but look at some of this artwork.
So there's a cameo in this book for something that's supposed to be revealed fully in the next book in the new Spider-Man costume.
Ah, yes, the new costume. Since we're being
we're
positive
not
about
going to
things,
talk about things we don't like, but
yeah,
it's Mark Bagley on Spider-Man. So
yes,
even if Mark Bagley draws a weird costume, I will still be a fan of Mark Bagley on Spider-Man.
Well, I'm not going to go down the same road you're going down because
it's weird, the costume. It's not. I wouldn't call it bad. It's just strange.
Check this out from Amazing Spider-Man 96. Look at that middle panel that Bagley did of Mary Jane. I mean, the guy killed it. I do love John Dell on him. He's got some of the best inkers. Again, you know, he's had Scott Hanna over the years, John Dell, Andrew Hennessy, just some really killer inkers. But check that out.
Oh, nice, Doctor Strange and Mephisto too. Wow, that looks great.
Yeah.
How about those two pages right next to each other? So, Spider-Man 60. We've been talking about Nick Spencer since we started these shows. He had the unenviable job of following Dan Slott on Spider-Man. And Dan had a great 8-year run. I mean, just fantastic between Amazing Spider-Man to Superior Spider-Man and beyond. It might even be longer than 8 years. I can't remember. It was just fantastic. Nick has taken Spider-Man and made it his own. He is so killing it. It is such a great book. If we're going to do top 5, this is top 5. Expect it to be great and hit the nail on the head. All right. Moving on from here. I think I put something out of order, but that's all right. I'll figure it out. Let's see. What are we going to do next? I guess let's do a little bias right now, because I think, got to give Dynamite some love. So Red Sonja 24, final issue from Mark Russell. Next issue starts new writer Luke Lieberman on a special 4-issue arc. But right now we've got the final part of Mark Russell's 2-year journey, Red Sonja. This is the Jay Lee cover. Guy still kills it 25 years in. Check out the beautiful artwork. The world building that Mark Russell has put into this has been incredible. One of my favorite writers in the industry. Look at that. I mean, it's so easy to see how Mark pulls the best out of an artist and really just makes it truly his own. So this is a great, great issue to, even if you haven't read the previous issues, pick this up. I'll guarantee you will support your local retailer by buying the other issues of the story. Pick up the trade paperbacks. So
yeah, but the hardest decision you're going to have on that one is try and choose between the Jay Lee cover and the Joseph Michael Linsner cover, which are both gorgeous.
They are.
Just buy them both.
Yeah, that's a good option.
That is an option, because here are the covers.
All of them are gorgeous, but Linsner just seems to be hitting a whole new stride for him.
Yeah,
the covers he's been doing lately.
Like the Rachel. What's the C cover? What's her last name? Is it Scott?
Rachel Stott. Stott. Stott.
Stott. Yes.
Yep.
I just told my LCS I want A through C on the covers of that book. Just get them all, and we'll deal with it later.
Exactly.
There you go.
Are fortunate, and you get the cover artists that help bring in a larger audience. All right, Donny Cates. All right.
Yeah, I've heard you guys talk about Donny a couple times.
Yeah.
We have talked about Donny a couple times. He's one of the best writers this industry has ever had. And let me tell you, it's always, always, always exciting to open up his books. I can't believe that he's able to tackle as many books as he does and also create some of the mythos that he adds into the Marvel universe and write projects at Image and kill it as much as he does. He is just fantastic. And crossover, the one thing I'll say about crossover, because we've talked about how much I love not only Donnie, but how much I love Ryan Stegman with him, how they are one of the best teams ever. But I will tell you, Jeff Shaw art
that is nice.
Is
Did
not
you just
getting
fold
enough.
that book in half?
Man, this is a reader's copy. I'll buy another one. Okay.
Monster.
This book gets abused by me. This book gets read over and over and over again. And I got to tell you, this tells you how great Jeff Shaw is. Okay. Who the hell can draw this much face and expression into Madman's face when it's Madman outside of Mike Allred? Did you ever expect anybody to be able to draw Madman this well? It is freaking unbelievable how great it is. He is, I'm telling you, you know, we were talking about Stegman, how much we love Stegman, and he is great. I am telling you right now, Jeff Shaw, to quote Al Pacino, I mean, look at this. He is just getting warmed up. This guy is a superstar in the making.
Yeah, it's hard to get that much expression out of a character without eyes.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. He has no eyes. And the only thing you've ever seen is the man look. You know, so Jeff Shaw is killing it. Oh my God. So I will say expected great book, expected it, but unexpected artist doing even better than previously thought. It's just, it is up there, man. It is absolutely positively up there. So I think we need to do the biggest book of the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
50,
I'm questioning if it's the biggest book of the week because I see some of the other stuff coming out from across the street from them. But it's certainly the biggest DC book of the week.
We're talking about thickness.
We're talking about page count. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it is the biggest.
The largest book of the week.
Yeah, he said biggest. It works.
It works. It was truth in advertising.
Plus, it's got Commandy. I mean,
plus it has Commandy. Yeah,
you don't get enough Commandy on the bookshelves, just hands down. So,
okay, I get behind that.
I think Kyle needs a little caffeine.
I'm gonna second we go to commercial here in a few minutes. I'm gonna walk over, grab an energy drink.
You want to go to commercial now? Get it out of the way?
No. I want to talk about this book. I mean, it's Dan Jurgens. It's
Robert Venditti, Andy Schmidt.
Right.
Hats off to Andy Schmidt.
Right. I mean, and then the art is Paul Pelletier, Bernard Chang, Ryan Hitch, Mike Perkins, Liam Shapp did a cover, Gary Frank did the variant. Like, there is nobody on this book that isn't a heavy hitter.
No, not at all. And the middle stories are just the black and white flashbacks. Oh my God. So well put together. So well. Look at these 2 pages.
Nice.
You know, our friend Aaron Halland will be super happy because there's a Booster Gold story. You got a Dr. Light appearance.
Sinestro, I mean, you don't often, he was in the core.
Right. You don't often see Dominus around, but we got Dominus, we got Steel.
Starfire. As John just said, Green Lantern, Sinestro. And
like, you have Batman, sure. You have Green Lantern, sure. But when do you see the rest of these guys all in one book? Never.
No, you never do.
Batman and Superboy. That's just an odd combination right there.
Super odd.
Well, yeah, I was just told it's 19.
We got to get John a microphone.
1939. But the most important, I will tell you, the page. Pop that spoiler alert because I'm about to show the best page.
Dun dun
Should I show the
dun.
best page or should I not? Which way are we
absolutely.
going? Put spoiler over my face. Well, that's just,
I don't have that technology.
All right, ready? Look at this last page.
Oh, nice.
You see Kubert at the bottom. You see Kane. You see, did Dan touch on everybody? Nick Carty, Perez. It's just freaking unbelievable. Wow. So beautiful.
It is a really great page.
Yeah.
It's a really great book. And what was the price? $9.99. Guess what? That's $10 you'll spend for 80 pages.
Oh yeah,
That's
worth
$10
it.
you'll spend. It's basically $2 an issue. So it's and John's saying that it has John Byrne Generations energy. Yep, I agree.
We're gonna get John a microphone. He's just gonna be an off-camera and disembodied voice.
I think this looks like John Byrne Generations energy. He doesn't even have eyes. 1939 Batman, Green Lantern.
That wasn't what I was going for, but okay, we'll go with that. We'll get him a robot microphone.
I think that'd be great.
Get him a vocoder, no problem.
Or we go the Howl, John Byrne Generation energy.
John said to me earlier, "Hey, King and Black Namor, you know what I call that, Nick? Kurt, love your Namor, love your writing. Go back to Astro City." Not because he doesn't like this, just because he wants Astro City.
Amen.
Kurt, do more work for Dynamite. Shameless plug. So, really? That's the way you feel, Kyle?
I want Astro City too.
Isn't your review next week?
Yeah. I have control of the YouTube channel. No, for real though. I would love to see more Astro City. I would love to see more Project Superpowers. I'm not an idiot. I know where my bread is buttered, but I am digging this run too. I am, I think anything Kurt writes, I like. I think that's the thing I don't care what he writes. I like Kurt Busiek.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that Kurt absolutely writes just so methodically and doesn't tackle too many series that if he's writing it, it's just going to rock. It's just going to roll.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's done with so much forethought and planning that what it leads to, in my opinion, is a more full story than you get a lot of times when you have guys jumping in to do a short run story is part of a crossover like King and Black. It's the Namor run of King and Black is not a full ongoing thing. It's a short little part. And a lot of times you don't get the fully plotted out stories like you would if he was writing 50 issues.
Right.
But Kurt thinks in such clear story beats that it
and he's also he's so good at filling in history, whether he's creating the whole universe or just filling parts in. So
that was going to be my pick as the biggest book of the week, just because Peter David.
Yeah.
And Peter David Hulk, come on.
Peter David Maestro.
Yep.
So was the Pantheon. Who's next? I love and like, but the fact that they just continue to use the George Perez imagery. This book was such a surprise when it came out. And I'm glad that they kept Peter on board as the writer that brings the same flavor to it. Come on, sit down with Dr. Doom hey, let's cut up the world. Only not per Degaton style. I'll remember that we agreed to do this.
That has always been my favorite part of Peter David's writing is the downtime, the things that happen between the fights.
You know what? You know the comparison I'll make? It's WandaVision, episode 4, 5, and 6. Just saying, Kyle.
Well, and so, like, if we're going to talk about this, let's talk about the fact that that's a Dale Keown cover.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Javier Pina interiors, which he's one of the kind of, I would say, one of the new hot shots at Marvel. Like, he's got a lot of talent, and he's finally, I think, getting his due. And oh, by the way, there's a Carlos Pacheco variant that is just stunning.
Well, I mean, it's Carlos Pacheco, so
Right.
Is there anything less to be expected?
I mean, the cover is Maestro holding the Iron Man helmet in one hand like he's doing Shakespeare, and in the other hand he has Thor's hammer and Cap's broken shield.
Oh, wow. Pop it up, man.
Give me a second. We'll put it on screen here.
Alas, poor Stark.
Yeah. Alas, poor Tony. I knew him well.
Yeah.
How do you know it wasn't Arno that he was holding?
The face mask is a little different.
Oh,
yeah.
Be that way.
It's a
Be
Tony Stark mask.
Be that way. Be pragmatic.
Where's it? Let me click on it here and do this and go like this. That's the wrong thing.
I love the pages.
Oh, yeah. It's such a fun character.
Oh,
There you go.
That is sweet.
Oh, Vision's head, Thor's helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like you got Hawkeye's bow, Wanda's headpiece. Yeah, just a lot of great. Black Widow's armbands or wristbands.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, Carlos Pacheco. I mean, it's this is actually the cover I picked up of this book.
Understandable. Though it's hard to pass up Keown when he draws the Hulk.
Oh, absolutely. It was a tough choice for me. I mean, because every cover Dale Keown does is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a tough pick. All right, Nick, let's do one more book and then take a quick break.
Okie dokie, Smokey.
I should probably put myself back on screen.
Go with Spawn.
Yes.
How nuts is it the way McFarlane is tearing up the world? It is so unbelievable. He had he built up to that 300th issue, made issue 300 so unbelievably a payoff and a jumping on point all at the same time. And if John was doing his voice after saying, "This is Invaders, Namor," he would say, "Todd McFarlane, Spawn rules."
It's true.
So,
did you see Todd's announcement at Comics Pro?
I did.
I mean, you've got a huge expansion of the Spawn universe. Like, we've not had a Spawn universe expansion like this since Spawn was created.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just wait 300 years and then grow the universe, or 300 issues. But
it's worked.
I love seeing medieval Spawn back because when McFarlane Toys first came out, that was the one I got, was a medieval Spawn that just about killed kids with the spikes.
Our action figures are so good they could kill your kid.
That's right. But you got that. You got She-Spawn. You got Gunslinger Spawn and Reaper.
Gunslinger Spawn is the one that I on so many levels I found to be the coolest. Like, all right, where did he come up with that one? That one. Okay, that one works.
And I think Todd's A cover on it is just absolutely beautiful. You've got the Francisco Mattina there.
No, it's Capullo. Capullo and McFarlane.
That's not what it's listed at online, but it looks like a Capullo.
That's sure his signature.
Signed Capullo. I'm just saying, like, you look at it online, it says Matina. So, they maybe need to get the database corrected.
Yeah.
I'll get on that.
Or Matina doesn't know how to spell his own name.
Matina, Capullo, us Italians, we get confused. A little bit of red, a little bit of white wine. Forget about it.
Anyhow, but no, it's great. And then, guys, if you haven't heard the other announcements, John Leguizamo is coming back as Violator. He's going to do a Violator comic with Todd.
Nice,
yeah.
And he's got one with, she was in Game of Thrones. What's her name? Amelia Clark.
Oh, Amelia Clark.
Amelia Clark and Todd McFarlane on a comic together. I don't know what it is. They didn't say.
But it sounds great. And everybody gets more excited. Everybody, all the fans get more excited. I'm only doing the show till 9 tonight, but you're going to have Kyle and not Kyle run with the rest of the show, and it'll be more enjoyable.
I don't know about that. Also, I'm the red guy now.
Yeah, that's right.
He's the red guy.
My face has just gotten progressively redder since I went on the air at 6. I don't know what's happening. If I'm turning into Santa Claus, I don't.
It's the blood pressure,
Yeah. Vengeance of Vampirella, number 15.
The mystery of the return of Adam Van Helsing.
Yep, you gotta love Snigalski. I mean, Jesus.
That's like old school Vampirella bringing back Van Helsing.
Yep, and he's done so well.
Yeah. You're making people cry every time you bend one of those comics there, Nick.
Monster.
The funny part is I am a reader, I am a reader at heart. So for me, it's like, make it impactful and try not to show the ads. So it's just.
No, I understand. I believe, guys, comics are meant to be read. They're not meant to be babied. But at the same time, maybe Nick could be a little less violent.
That's why you buy 2 copies. You buy 2 copies, True. One to read, one to be babied.
Well, when I'm babying 2 copies of Image Comics or Marvel or DC, that's great because they got double the money because I bought 2 issues. When I demolish one of Dynamite's, I'm just eating into the profits. So that's a win-win for the other publishers, not so much for Dynamite. But now, look, this is one of our Vengeance of Vampirella has been just so consistently great. Thanks to Tom. It's been a 2-year plan. We're so excited that he's able to do the entire 2 years. And yeah, bringing Adam Van Helsing back is just out of this world. This is the Lucio Perillo cover. It's a powerful cover. It's an incredibly powerful cover. And just because we like to show all of the covers, that is
I'm looking at the Roberto Castro cover.
Yeah.
The drawn covers are great, but I got to say the Lorraine cosplay cover is spectacular this time.
I would have to. All right. Now I'm not having the same effect.
Yeah, that cosplay cover is really, really nice. As a photographer myself, that is just really well framed and well put together shot.
Her and her photographer did a great job.
Yeah.
So, and here is the Roberto Castro FOC cover.
That is so nice.
The stained glass effect on the back the detail in it is just impeccable.
Yeah, it's out of this world. So these are just a few of the items. And I guess we'll just do the commercial at 9 o'clock when I break away. We'll just do that.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, technically you're the boss.
Well, I mean, if you want to kill 2 minutes and get me off with less airtime, that's up to you, man.
Why don't you fix the wording of that? I will be right back. I will leave you and Dan here.
All right.
We'll be. You guys keep going, and I will be right back.
All right.
I'm not going to make it without a monster.
He needs to, that's right. I'm literally boring to tears and boring him to tears. That's why he needs to get his Monster Energy drink. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Tonight's episode is sponsored by Monster. When you need a pick me up, Monster.
You know what makes a great week, though? You know what makes a really great week as far as new comics are concerned? 2 James Tynion books. 1 James Tynion book is fantastic. 2.
And with one of them having just been announced as a TV series.
Yep.
So it is the truth.
God, this guy is such a great writer. I mean, God, so jealous, so professionally jealous. I mean, it is one of the best comics on the stands today. Beyond, I mean, it's just beyond words how great this comic is.
Yeah. And he gets to play with stuff like the Illuminati and I'm trying to the Inquisition. He goes back to the Inquisition. Talk about 2 areas of truth.
Now, look, James has really been he's been incredible on many levels. It's beyond creator owned, it's beyond characters owned by other publishers. I mean, considering he puts his distinctive flavor on Batman, his distinctive flavor on Punchline, on his creator owned series like Department of Truth, like Something is Killing the Children. And he works with artists that have such different styles and plays to their strengths no matter who they are, and pulls the best out of them and just really writes. He can craft a story so well. It's a crime. It's a crime. I don't want to show too much more of Department of Truth. It really is a beautiful, incredible book. So now let's show a little bit of Something That's Killing the Children. And again, this is distinctive and great. I mean, look at that.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. What a first page, right?
Yeah.
What an incredible first page. And look at the panel work right there.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about this book is that the panel work isn't all over the place. It's consistent. It's broad bordered, but it's easy to follow.
Yep.
You know, you get some books, especially creator-owned books, and the panel work is, I don't want to say sloppy, but it's inconsistent.
Right. What's up, Andrew?
Something you have to appreciate about Tynion's writing is just his background knowledge that he pulls in. Like I said, in the other one, he's gone with the Illuminati and the Inquisition. Here, he's dealing with the Order of St. George. I mean, it's obviously he's read just like crazy amount of stuff to bring it into his stories.
Yeah, he does. He does an incredible amount of research.
It is insane.
Yeah, these are the kind of stories that make you sit down afterwards and go, okay, I got to do a little research myself to see what the hell is going on.
Yeah,
right. I need a full on, Encyclopedia Britannica to fully read this book.
It is what you need. It's no joke.
And if I'm reading a comic that's making me learn something or makes me want to know more about something, that's a hell of a comic.
That is a hell of a
Nick,
comic.
let's go to that next one down there on the spinner, real quick, just to mention it, because I don't think it's going to get mentioned if we don't. Image Comics Scumbag number 5. Guys, Rick Remender.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I really need to say. Rick Remender.
For the most part, that's really all you need to say. I mean, but also Wes Craig. Come on. Right. I mean, Wes has just been really his artwork is so perfect for Rick's books. The name escapes me of the last book was the TV series that the Russo brothers did. Oh my God. What was the Sci-Fi Channel's TV series?
Nobody Deadly Class?
Huh?
Is it
Deadly
Resident
Class?
Alien? Is that what we're talking about? Deadly Class?
No, Rick Remender's book that was on Sci-Fi Channel as a TV series. Deadly Class.
Yeah.
Oh, you said
Yeah.
Deadly Class.
He did say it.
Yeah.
You did say it. So, I mean, Wes did a beautiful job there. He's doing a killer job here. I mean, look at that.
Mhm.
But I agree with
No,
Kyle.
like I said, I just wanted to bring it up because, I don't think it's getting the love it deserves.
It is now. It is from us.
Right. Absolutely. Like I said, it's a book that I think people need to be picking up. By the way, this one is called Jazz Apple Armageddon. Like, there is no better titler of comics than Rick Remender.
Yeah.
All right. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
And I just remember when he was back inking Kieran Dwyer on Captain America.
And the Avengers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I always think of that run on Cap because so much of what we're going to get in Falcon and Winter Soldier is from that run with Super Patriot becoming in the U.S. agent and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go with our $5.99 book of the week, Dark Detective.
There
Such
you go.
a fantastic book.
Now that's the wrap up, right? That's the 4th issue.
I will say one thing that's kind of
Yes, it is.
kind of trippy. Look at the color scheme here. Tell me it doesn't kind of look like the color scheme here.
Similar choices, yeah.
Some similar choices, and obviously at the top more so, but definitely a lot of reds and blues.
Yeah.
So
from a design standpoint, those colors are really in right now. That kind of 80s vintage brightness is really in right now.
And I gotta
it's
tell
that
you,
or it's super stark contrast, black and whites, gray and black, that kind of stuff.
as somebody who grew up in the 80s, those colors suck. Stop going back to the 80s. They weren't that good.
hold on a second.
They were aesthetic.
The 80s were great in the 80s.
Yeah. Nobody liked the day glow colors of the neon colors. We were just trying to get rid of them.
Well, apparently Agatha Harkness liked the purple.
Nothing wrong with purple. If it was good enough for Caesar.
Look, that's why the kids needed lavender. Because they couldn't decide to grow on their own at that age.
Mm.
At 5, they could. So, all right. So, what do you guys? Oh my God! Look at these 2 pages. Look at these 2 pages.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Batman versus what's his name? Peacekeeper 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is just it. God. It is.
Yeah, I
marvelous.
can't wait. I can't wait to find out more about what's happening with the magistrate as we go forward, because it's going to continue to bleed out into the world. But this is I'm relatively sure this is the last week for future state.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we get to figure it out now going forward.
All right, so a couple of quick last calls. We definitely want to tell you, pick up Marvel Voices. Marvel definitely took it to the next level with Marvel Voices, getting the voice of new creators, bringing it out there, creating attention and awareness, and support Marvel with this. This is a great book. Remember, one of the things we do in stores this week with Nick and friends is we talk about everybody's book. We will only talk about the books we love. We will only talk about the books we want to talk about. There is enough negativity in the world. We do not need to add to the negativity. We want to talk about the books that are here, 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 and here, because we want you to go to your local comic store. We want you to support your local comic store. We want you to check out the 800 Comic Shop Locator. We want you to pick up the new books that they have. If your retailer and yourself are in an unfortunate area with all this bad weather, pick up some back issues if they're open, order online, do curbside service. We need you to support your local retailer so that your local retailer can deliver to you your comics every week. And picking up books like this that Marvel puts out to try and give new voices to new talent, this helps. And this also helps the retailers take more chances. And that's what we need.
Plus two quick things on that book. Number one, you're looking at characters like Spectrum, who just made her debut in WandaVision, Luke Cage, Ironheart, Falcon, who's going to be in Falcon and Winter Soldier, Storm, Blade, who's going to have a new movie coming up, Black Panther. So if you're just following the MCU, you don't know where to jump in at on the comics, this is a great place. You're going to see a lot of the characters that you're seeing in the MCU is right there. So.
And then we've got Black Panther 23, 2 issues to go. This is it, the countdown. Pick this up. I don't care if you have not picked it up until now. Pick up issue 23. Pick up the back issues. Reserve 24 and 25. Get the perfect 25 issue story arc. Get the trade paperbacks from your local retailer. It's just a great book. It is just a great book. It's as simple as that. Let's see. What else are we doing for last call here? We've got George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones from Dynamite in stores this week. Check it out. We were talking about Amelia earlier, writing with Todd McFarlane. Now you can get Game of Thrones.
Mel Ruby's art has been gorgeous on that entire series. You should be picking it up. Even if you've seen the TV series, this is so much more in depth. You should be reading this book.
Yep. So you've seen my list for the week. This is the Dynamite list from Nick. And what I will tell you is that I am going to leave you with the handsome Kyle and the handsome not Kyle. So until Thursday, when we have original art with Nick and Will, you guys got the 2 best hosts on the air, and I will see you next time. Thank you all.
And while Nick leaves us, I'm going to take this opportunity just to remind you guys that this Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 6 here on the Comic Book Shopping Experience, we will be having Black Comics Universe presented by Peep Game Comics, which will be celebrating the best in creators of color. We've got great guests, Afua Richardson, Joe Illich, David Walker, so many great creators that will be joining us. That weekend. This weekend. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you follow our social media for more announcements, that kind of stuff. Our schedule will be out soon, so tune in for that. And then Friday night, guys, tune in Friday night for our Friday night shows. Friday night is different than any other night of the week here on the Experience, where we have 4 shows. We have a cosplay how-to show. We have virtual signings with Henri, which is a virtual signing show where you could not only buy great comics, but from great creators, but you can get them signed live on the air.
Right.
Look, there were legendary things in the 80s. We got Watchmen.
What are we talking about, Nick? I think we need to mute Nick. Okay. Because John's talking entirely too loud. And then we will be back. And then we have a live show, a live interview show, followed by our Nerd News Now, presented by the Kingdom of Geekdom and Woodlands Online. So we'll be back in just a minute with me and Dan, or as we're going to call them, the Red Guy and not Nick, here on the Comic Book Shopping Experience. That was a lot to say.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
fight's over.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle. This is In Stores This Week with Nick, now with 100% less Nick. It's like In Stores This Week light, without Nick. So we are back. We're going to talk about some new books coming out this week. Dan, what books are you excited about that are coming out this week?
Well, knowing that Nick was going to not be here for the second half, I went ahead and took a look at some of the ones that really jumped out at me. And I think off the top of my head, the first one, I know Buffy has been in the news lately a lot for negative reasons, but all of that aside, it's still a fun universe, some great characters, and Boom has a new book coming out this week, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Faith #1. And this one caught my eye. It's described as the future of the Buffyverse, and it's a one-shot, so you get the complete story, like in just boom, there it is, and it's this whole new direction. You can jump in on the new direction without having to spend a lot of effort on it. You get it all in one shot. You got Jody Valeri, Eleonora Carlini, and Kevin Water, the creative team on it, and I really like the idea of following Faith with. She doesn't have a watcher, and she's kind of drifting back to some of her old ways, where she was more of the dark Buffy, in the series. So it's kind of fun to see her that way. And they're also going to explore her origin for the first time, which I think is going to be a real neat, area to play with. Because sometimes you get these characters and you don't get where they came from before. Like, look how long it took us to get a Wolverine origin. So
it's true.
Yeah. So that's the first one that jumps to my mind. I think this is a great jumping on point for anybody who wants to read Boom Studios run with the Buffyverse. Again, it's a one shot. It's a little more expensive than most comics on the shelf, but it's a bigger book. So you get it. You get the full story right there. Jody Valeri is a great author. And I think Jody. And I think this is going to be one of the first ones I grab. Just the cover looks really nice, and I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, my Buffy knowledge is pretty much limited to rewatching the show when it was on in reruns in the afternoons after school, because I didn't start watching it when it was first on. It wasn't my style at the time. I will say this. What's her name who played Buffy? Sarah Michelle Gellar. Has always been my style, but not this. The show itself was not my particular cup of tea. So I watched very little of it, but the comics have always been absolutely spot on and really representative of the universe from everybody I know who's a big Buffy fan. And I know many of them because that's my age group, right? So
yeah, I came backwards into that. I actually the final season of Angel was my introduction to the universe, which I think is probably one of the best seasons of any of that. It's just so different than everything else, and between that and James Marsters as Spike, I actually got a chance to. I wrote a story for Humanoids that got turned into one of the episodes of the Metal Hurlant Chronicles, and it starred James Marsters. So getting to work with him, having him actually speak my dialogue, kind of makes me go, I need to go watch more James Marsters. So I went backwards into the Buffyverse and just found what a rich universe was created there. And I actually like a lot of the comic takes on them. Zenoscope did it for a while. Dark Horse had it. Zenoscope had Charmed, but they're not connected, but I feel that they are. But
yeah,
Dark Horse's run on the Buffyverse was great, and now it's nice to see Boom doing it. It's always weird when another a property moves studios or moves publisher, because it's like, well, does all that count or not? And I think in this case it does, because it was so well controlled by Whedon. So, and this is one of those cases where you kind of need to divorce yourself from the person to the universe, because there's so many people involved in these properties that you can not support that person and still support the property because of everybody else involved.
Right. It's like I tell people, whenever there's controversy around any pop culture property, just because one person is bad does not mean all the other people who worked on it are. So we'll move on from that. What else you got? What else you thinking, Dan?
Tales from the Umbrella Academy. They're doing a series based on Klaus, where it's called You Look Like Death. This is Klaus has to be the breakout character. From him and Six were the two breakout characters from the TV series. And I just love this character. And so we're focused on him. He's directing a film with an aging starlet, and it says, to rein in her evil, which just, I picture like the Sunset Boulevard, I'm ready for my close-up character, but being totally evil. And, but you're focusing on Klaus, and he's got some kind of vampire chimp lord who's got a price on his head. So right there, that should be enough for the admission ticket right there. Vampire chimp lord.
Yeah, no, it's true.
This is such a fun series. The TV series was so cool that I dove back in after the fact on these books. I picked up the trades after the series came out, and I'm just really liking it. And the differences are it makes it unique enough that what they're doing in the TV show, it's like having a whole new stories here. But this is a whole new series, so this is a lot of fun. But it's episode 6, so you could probably pick up the back issues while you're at the shop and have a nice big read for the weekend.
It's true. The Umbrella Academy stuff is weird because I read it when it came out and I loved it, and then I watched the show and I didn't like the show very much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like one of the only people in the world. And I kept reading the comics that kept coming out, and I'm like, this is so much more pure to me than the show was. Mm-hmm. My thing about the show is it felt like somebody was like, no, make it more artistic. Make it more out there. I'm like, the book's already out there enough. And the show just felt like they're like, oh, now we're going to be slightly more avant-garde. Like, no, you don't need that.
I do my best not to compare adaptations to this work, and it comes from we mentioned him earlier, Todd McFarlane. When the movie Spawn was coming out and they had the animated series on HBO at the time, I saw McFarlane at a convention in LA, and he was talking about it and how they were all different from each other, and they should be different because Todd's vision was the comic book. The guys doing the cartoon, that was their vision of the character. The movie was somebody else's vision of the character, and they shouldn't be the same because the comics still exist, the movies still exist, the animated series still exist. You can watch them for what they are. They shouldn't all be the exact same thing because you're just telling the same story over and over again then. This is someone else's take on it.
I understand that. My problem that I have is twofold, right? And this is a great example of it, is this book doesn't necessarily have the same mythos as Spider-Man in terms of the length of its mythos. There are so many stories you can tell that shouldn't be a concern with a character like a Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But instead, what they do is they call something Spider-Man Homecoming and then don't tell the Spider-Man Homecoming story. They call something Captain America Civil War, and then they don't tell the Civil War story. They call it Thor Ragnarok, and they don't tell the Thor Ragnarok story. Now, the thing is those all have their own existing mythos that have been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
With Umbrella Academy, and same with Lock and Key, same with The Boys, same with what's coming with Invincible, same with so many of these other products that don't have that same giant mythos. I have a significantly easier time doing it, of divorcing myself from those original, concepts.
Yeah.
But with this one, it just felt like, let's take, Brandon Tartakovsky and let him throw all over this story, or let's take the Coen brothers and let them just twist it, or, Jason Schwartzman it, or whatever you want to call it, where it's people are chewing the scenery.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt about it. Now, I may go back and revisit it and try it again and see if it helps. But I think what really hurt my viewing was I was reading the series again. And I tend to read the series as I watch the product. And I think it hurt. So now maybe I'll go back and I'll read it. I won't read it at the same time. So
when I watched this series, what came to mind, and I cannot think of the director's name right now, so I'm hoping you can remember. He did the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Mm-hmm. It is Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson. So for me, Umbrella Academy is Wes Anderson's X-Men.
Yeah, totally. And Wes Anderson is a great example of that. It's, I felt like hey, let's let Wes Anderson make this weird.
Yeah.
It's already pretty weird. It's, I saw the Royal Tannenbaums. I saw I know weird.
Yeah.
This is weird already. So it's, and even though he wasn't the one who directed it, that's what it felt like. So, like I said, I maybe need to watch it separated from a consumption of it.
Well, also, there's weird that comic book readers will accept, and then there's weird that general audience will accept. And when you're making a TV show, you're trying to get as many eyes as possible. It's the same reason Zack Snyder took out the giant squid from the end of Watchmen. Now, I think that's a mistake. I think the TV version of Watchmen proved that they could have done the giant squid, but he took it out and went for a different story that he thought was more palatable to the general audience. Is it good to placate? I don't think so, but that's the audience you're trying to play with. It's why Marvel does PG-13 movies instead of R movies. And it's why if China doesn't like certain things, they don't put that in their movies because they want the Chinese audience.
Right.
And as much as we hate that as a purist, it's only by making these big audiences that we're going to get more of these things. So,
yeah. By the way, guys, if you've not watched the Darjeeling Limited, if you need someone to define weird for you, that's it. Okay. Moving on.
Okay. Next on my list, I had a trade paperback. Red Sonja, Worlds Away, The End of the Road. Now, with Mark Russell's run coming to an end, we should all be talking about Mark Russell. He's done a great job. But what Amy Chu was doing on the character before that was also terrific stuff. And I believe this is the last collection of her work. You've also got Carlos Gomez doing the artwork on it. There's a few artists, but Carlos is the one that stands out the most to me. I actually really got into Carlos's work when he was doing the Dresden File books.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like his art. And I think that this is definitely a trade that's worth picking up. I mean, just look at that cover. That's a great cover right there. But you could actually pick up, 1 through 5. And again, I like to binge. I mean, we're a binge society nowadays. We like to binge watch, binge read. You could get all 5 of these trades and just envelop yourself in this story that Amy Chu told of such a great character as Red Sonja. So this is another one on my list this week is picking up this trade. And I think if you're going to the comic shop, at least take a minute and pick it up and look through it. I think it's going to get your attention.
Absolutely. And it's Red Sonja.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do the job over and over and over again for Red Sonja, but if you're not reading Red Sonja, you need to be reading Red Sonja. It's Red Sonja.
Yep.
It's one of these weird properties that's been everywhere. And Dynamite has it now and is doing a yeoman's job with the mythos and the legend of Red Sonja.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, just announcing, and it's, by the way, it's on the cover of previews this week. Invincible Red Sonja.
Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti.
Yes, absolutely. Let me show you that.
Oh yeah, please.
The cover of previews this week is Invincible Red Sonja. You've got covers from Amanda Conner, Joseph Michael Linsner, Selena, and Frank Cho coming for that. But, they're doing a really great job of guarding and growing the character. They've had great writers on it in terms of Amy Chu, and, they're bringing some great writers to it. So take a stab on the Red Sonjas.
Definitely. And if you're not reading Jimmy Palmiotti's writing, he has been brilliant on everything he's written. I mean, of course, most of us got to know him as an inker with Quesada back in the event days, and then eventually taking over Marvel Knights. But his writing first with Justin Gray and now on his own or with Amanda has been absolutely fabulous. His run on Jonah Hex was probably some of the best stuff I'd read in a long time. So I cannot wait to see what the two of them together are going to do with Red Sonja.
And by the way, guys, Jimmy and Amanda also have some creator-owned stuff that they're coming out with, and they're pushing. Beyond this, head over to paperfilms.com, which is their website, to get all of that information.
Yep. Follow them both on social media. They've always got something new coming up, and it's well worth following them.
Yeah, we don't talk as much as we used to because now it just evolves into pizza topping talk. Like, it's all we talk about is food now. When I talk to those guys, we used to talk about comics. Now we just talk about food, and that's fair. That's my relationship with several comic creators at this point, including but not limited to Jimmy and Amanda. Howard Chaykin is another one that only wants to talk to me about food. So it's just one of those weird relationships we have.
I always talk to Chaykin about Chicago because my dad grew up in Chicago, and that's where Chaykin's from. So the few times I've gotten to talk to him, we're always talking about different parts of Chicago my dad used to tell me about. And
that's how the food relationship started. Is we started talking about restaurants that only people who are from Chicago know. I'm not from Chicago, but I spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
So I get to know those places, those little hole in the wall. If this place doesn't have a sign, but it's got the best hot dogs you'll ever eat in your life kind of places, and the speakeasies and all of those kind of places that still exist. So that's how that relationship came about. But you had on your list, and this is what I want to get your read on. Heavy Metal's Tarna.
Oh yeah. I grew up. I was that age when the Heavy Metal movie came out, and the character of Tarna was such a big part of it that she kind of became the face of heavy metal for a long time. And getting to see her get her own book now is just awesome to me. Stephanie Phillips is writing it. You got art by Christian Rosado, and you got cover by Christian. I had his name down wrong. Christian Ward.
Yes.
I had just Christian War. I'm like, I don't think that's right. But and she, every company is doing their multiverse thing. This is their multiverse, and if anybody has a multiverse, it's got to be Heavy Metal because they've got so many unique, different creations and characters and stuff. So they're setting Tarna up as the lone protector of the multiverse. So, and she's, and this whole story in this issue is she's dealing with two almost like elder gods who are in this endless battle, but now they're at a point where they're escalating it. And of course could wipe out all of sentient life because that's what happens when elder gods fight. So
yeah, I mean, this is the A cover. This is the Alex. Is this the right cover? Let me double check and make sure I've even got the right book put up.
That's Tarna number 3. Yes.
Yeah, this is Alex DeCampi. This cover is the A cover, but there is an Armonicopian variant that is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, you can always count on Heavy Metal to have some gorgeous covers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they get some of the best talented artists from all over the country, or all over the world.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so, guys, if your memory of heavy metal is kind of like mine, that it's always been a little bit fringe, a little bit out there. If you remember Heavy Metal Magazine, those kind of things. Just remember, Heavy Metal is a company that is changing. They've brought in a ton of industry, giants in recent years, I should say, that are changing the company into something that everyone believes will be more accessible to the fans. So, you've got Joseph Illidge, you've got their marketing team has come from all over the comic book industry.
Mm-hmm.
Their books, oftentimes, one of the big things that I heard from readers was that they're off-sized, they're odd-sized, their magazines or they're European or whatever. They're going more to the traditional comic book size. They're doing the things that we've been asking them for years to do, and preserving the integrity of the characters and the stories at the same time. So this is one of those companies that's changing, that's been around forever, that should be, and I say should be and will be, but they're on the rise. So be prepared for the future of heavy metal.
Yeah, and they've got such a plethora of amazing characters and stuff built up over the years from the different. They've been doing anthologies for so long. They have such a great wealth of characters they can pull from and play with. So this is going to be great to see. Yeah.
What else we got?
All right. This is one of my personal favorites here, the one I'm really looking forward to. I am an absolute geek for Jim Lee's artwork. I own 2 pages from his I own 2 pages that I actually partially bought with Nick's money thanks to a poker game. That's also how I met Nick, by the way.
I as an aside, I just found out about Nick's propensity for poker.
Mm-hmm.
In passing from another publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about playing poker with Nick. And I'm going, so if I want to own Dynamite Comics, I just have to get Nick into a poker game? Is that what you're telling me?
I played one game with Nick and ended up winning the tournament. This was at Wizard World LA. And then the next time I was in a game with them in San Diego, and I walked in, he stood up and went, "I got a $50 bounty on Wickline's head." I'm like, dude.
I grew up playing poker in the back of the UAW halls and those games. So my poker skills are, how do I put this? Pretty sharp. So,
Yeah.
It's one of those, I don't play as often as I should because I like to keep my money.
Yes.
But when I do play, I often come out with more money than I started. So
I'm similar. I get nervous playing because when the stakes get too high, I start getting, on the inside, it's like, but on the outside, I can keep it cool. But when I do play, I tend to come away with more than I started with. So
yeah,
I just don't.
Including Jim Lee artwork.
Yes. Yes, a page from Hush and a page from Forever Tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with those. But this is the oversized X-Men art, Jim Lee's X-Men Artist Edition hardcover. And I love when IDW does these books because they're basically finding the original art, rescanning it as high quality, and just reproducing it. There's no shrinking it. It's coming out exactly as the artist drew it. They're having to track down these pages. I'm hoping someday I get a call from Scott Dunbier, who puts these together, going, "Yeah, going to need a copy of your Hush page and your other page so we can put Jim's next book together." But he does. He tracks these pages down, and they shoot them. And this is his X-Men stuff. And these are the pages from probably the top-selling comic book of all time, X-Men #1, that Jim Lee did with, I want to say Chris Claremont, but I don't remember for sure if it was Claremont. But again, I am just, this is my favorite artist of all time. And just love that. I am looking forward to having this book in my hot hands next week, or tomorrow.
Yeah, no, for sure. Believe it or not, Scott was one of the people telling that story. Anyhow,
it was Scott's game that I first played in.
Scott, and I'll tell you the other publisher off the air, but it was really funny. But no, this is, it's Jim Lee art, guys. Like, sometimes it doesn't make sense in terms of the physics of the human body, but it's still Jim Lee art, and it's still beautiful, and it's still perfect, even if that guy's chest would cave in. So, I mean, you just gotta, you look at it and go, this is what these characters are meant to look like.
Yeah. But
when Jim Lee came to X-Men, and he came to the X universe, he had, I mentioned Jay Fosgate earlier, how he understands cartooning better than anybody alive. Jim Lee understood superheroes better than anybody walking the earth at the time. He knew what they should look like. He knew what they should feel like, and he knew what would make them feel real to us and be, connect to us. And that's what they're highlighting here, really, is that work that he did that, really did absolutely change the game.
Yeah, and comic characters aren't supposed to look realistic. You go all the way back to Jack Kirby's art. His artwork is dynamic, it's powerful, but it's not lifelike at all. There are joints and muscles and stuff that do not exist in the human anatomy, but it looks fantastic on a page. And Jim Lee's the same way. The artists they had that started Image, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Wills Portacio, all of them had the ability to draw exciting pages. And that was the key, is there was an excitement in their art. And Liefeld and Larson had it too. And even Jim Valentino, they all had that ability to tell exciting stories through their art. And to me, though, Jim Lee is the top of it. And I hate that he's doing so much in editorial and administrative work now. I would love to see him just sitting at a drawing board every day again. I have not been as excited for a comic book run since Hush in years. I marked on my calendar when I needed to go pick up the next issue of Hush, because I thought Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee nailed every issue of that series, of that run.
Absolutely.
So you can tell I'm a fan of Jim Lee.
I don't know many comic book fans that aren't. The reality is that Jim Lee is the access point for so many of us. His art, and he's worked on everybody. Like, there are I can't think of any major superheroes that Jim Lee hasn't done at least one story with. Like, even in an anthology, like, you think, I don't know, maybe Spider-Man, but I'm sure there's something out there where he drew Spider-Man, in a backup story somewhere, or on a side story, or, hey, here's Wolverine, he's doing an X-Men story and Wolverine's going to encounter Spider-Man. Oh, here's Wolverine slashing it, whatever.
Yeah.
He's worked on everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's my dream collaborator. I mean, I'm a writer, so I look at these guys, and Jim Lee's my number one, Michael Golden's my number two. And that's, my list is, not that long of the guys I really want to work with. And Jim Lee would be the number one for me. It's like, I will pay you to let me write for you.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's like, Jim, if you want to do, Jim, if you want to do a Green Arrow series, or The Question.
It's true, though. I mean, my list, I'm not a writer. I'm really not. But I'm not an artist either. But if I got a chance to write a comic book, there are a few names maybe above Jim Lee, but several of them are dead. So he gets bumped up.
And dead people are really bad at deadlines.
Right. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for me, I've always thought, who would I want to draw my book if they were a legend? And it's, in terms of people who are alive, it's Arvell Jones, because he's a dear friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jim Lee. Like, it's one of those things. I'd love to work with my buddy.
Yeah.
But if I can't work with my buddy, I'd love to work with the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
for me, the buddy is Michael Golden. I've had a chance to really hang out with Michael on quite a few occasions. and he is such an amazing, great guy. And we've never talked comics. We've talked music. We've talked mole, just everything but comics. And he is just such an awesome guy. And then you look at his artwork, and it's phenomenal. And I mean, the fact that he's been doing the covers for one of the Red Sonja series, along with Archer Saddam, has been so much fun to see both of them cranking out new covers every month. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. I think the next book on your list is this guy.
Yeah. Nick mentioned it in the last hour, but I've known Tony for quite a few years, back when he was in the Garage Studios with Tone Rodriguez and Chris Moreno. So I love seeing him have a book out. The tagline for this, Lady and the Tramp meets Silence of the Lambs, just got me right there. But to tell a thriller, a suspense thriller with dogs, is just such a unique idea that I love it. And if this is not picked up for a Netflix movie or something, then there's something wrong with the world.
I can see it as an animated cartoon show, as an animated,
exactly.
like an adult level though animated show. Like,
yep.
Guys, this is the story of a serial killer. It really is a serial killer story, but it's all told through the eyes of the dogs that he steals as trophies. It's a wild and unique and one of a kind concept that is Tony's the only person who could tell it.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, if you don't know Tony's work, so for a long time he was doing My Little Pony. It's just about as far away from this as possible.
It's true. If you're into this book, though, I'm going to give you a tip on a book that's coming. So pick this up tomorrow. It's in stores this week. But I'm going to give you a tip on a book that's coming from Source Point Press. It's written by Garrett Gunn and Dr. Christy Blanche, called Good Boy. The pitch on that is it's John Wick from the dog's perspective. Someone kills a dog's owner, and the dog goes all John Wick on them.
Okay, I'm there.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
So if you're into this, check out Good Boy when it comes out from Source Point Press. Add it to your pull list now.
I'll be honest. I went to see John Wick because the whole premise of they killed his dog and he's getting revenge. I'm there. So that's all it took to get me to go see John Wick.
Right.
Yeah.
In current TikTok terms, Good Boy is they killed his human. Now he's getting revenge. It's a wild book. It's Dr. Christie, who you can see her show tomorrow night here on The Experience, with Garrett Gunn, who you know from a book that's out this week called Warcorns, Combat Unicorns for Hire, and Franklin and Ghost. So,
Unicorns for Hire. Wow.
Combat Unicorns for Hire. Have you not heard of this book, Dan?
I have not. What is wrong with me?
Oh, man.
Man?
Okay,
Jeez.
hold on. I'm going to put you on to... There are 2 unicorn books this week.
You mentioned the other one that you were reading at the doctor's office.
This is Warcorns, Combat Unicorns for Hire. So there are a group of unicorns. Each unicorn represents one branch of the United States military. But they're all based on the stereotypes perpetuated about the other branches by each branch.
Okay.
So the Air Force guy is like this. The Air Force unicorn is super good looking, but he never wants to get too close to the battle. The Marines run in without doing any preparation and usually wind up in over their heads. The Marine unicorn. The Army unicorn is a real badass, but he's always broken. The Navy unicorn has an inflatable rubber ducky floating around his waist. The Coast Guard unicorn is just a horse with a paper towel roll for a horn. It's all of these, these stereotypes that are, perpetuated inside the armed forces about the other branches. But in this story, they're all in basic training. So it's all these unicorns are figuring out their roles, and it's hysterical and dark and messed up. The story I told during my show about Warcorns is that I have a friend who's a veteran who doesn't talk about his service very much. I handed him the one shot, and then I handed him issue 1 of this, and he goes, "Kyle, this might be the most true depiction of what it's actually like of anything I've ever read."
Oh my God.
because it's, you know, you read something like you read Apocalypse Now, or you watch Apocalypse Now, the Platoon, Band of Brothers, any of these, you think that's realistic, but that's one side of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the other side. This is the side where everybody is ragging on each other. They all know they're in it together, but they're just busting each other's chops the whole time. Much like when we get together at a Comic-Con and we all just bust each other's chops. We want everybody to do well, but we're going to make fun of each other the whole time.
Oh, yeah. It's half the fun of the con.
So written by Garrett Gunn, who himself is a veteran.
That's what I was going to ask, because it sounds like you need to have the experience to pull this off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Garrett Gunn, who himself is a veteran, writes this book, so it's great. Mm-hmm. Warcorns, Combat Unicorns for Hire. Guys, this might be an era of animals doing people things in dark comedic ways. So the other book about unicorns, if we want to talk about it, is By the Horns from Scout Comics. This is the story of a woman whose husband is trampled by unicorns and sets about her life to destroy all unicorns.
I like the cover. Who's the artist on the cover?
I would have to pull that information up real quick. But the thing is, she kind of abandons her little town that she's a part of. Mm-hmm. And the result is that she's kind of unwelcome in her home. And they don't actually want to know about, like, she's killing other monsters. There are other monsters out there that she has to deal with. And the people don't want to know about it. So this is the A cover, which I think is by Jason Muir, M-U-H-R, but there is a Piper Rudich variant and a Maria Lopez variant as well. And then there are some store exclusive variants.
Nice. I will be honest, I have not given Scout Comics a chance, but I will now. That looks really good.
Everything from Scout, guys, if you don't know about Scout, everything from Scout is in development. That's the deal, is their partner, the way their partnership works with the studio that is kind of one of their, I don't know if it's their owner or if they're sister companies, is that everything is in development. Whether or not everything gets made is not definitive, but every book they get goes into some sort of development phase to be determined if it can be made into a show or a movie.
Yeah. Nowadays,
so they always have really good books.
Nowadays, a lot of shows get that, though. I mean, Hollywood is so looking for material with all the streaming services. I've had a couple of books that I've done that have, gotten to the pitching stage or gotten it out there, and it rarely does it come to fruition. Because, there's just so many comics and so many, but it's interesting because, you look at Resident Alien, which is a great new show on Sci-Fi, but it's based off of, I believe, a Dark Horse series. Mm-hmm. And I have not read the comic series, but the TV series is spectacular. I'm 3 episodes in. I'm about to watch the 4th episode. I think I can watch it tonight on demand.
I thought the first 5 were up on their website.
Oh,
maybe that's not available for everybody. I might be speaking out of school. That might not be available for everybody. That might just be for retailers.
Yeah. The first 2 episodes are available on YouTube. So when you're done with us here and we go off for the night, go check out Resident Alien on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's Alan Tudyk as an alien who crash lands on Earth. He came here to blow up the planet, mistakenly, while trying to drop his genocide device, gets shot down by knocked down by a lightning bolt, and ends up having to blend in to a small town. It's like Northern Exposure on acid. It is really a great series, and Alan is just doing a phenomenal job.
One of the great plot points about this show that's a selling point is that adults can't tell he's an alien, but kids can.
Yeah. Well, so far only one.
Yeah,
I don't know if that grows. Yeah, one kid, and the relationship he has with that one kid is hilarious because it's not like I'm going to have to kill that little kid, but it turns.
Please don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Right. No. Check it out. It's great. You had one more book on your list that you want to talk about, and I want to talk about it too.
Okay. Robin Hood from the Iron Maiden miniseries from Zenoscope. Now, I have to first disclaimer, whatever you want. I have done a lot of work for Zenoscope over the years, but this is one of the characters that A, they never let me write, and B, I always wanted to because I've got a mad on for archers anyway. So, I want to write any archer they'll let me write, but I never got a chance to write her. But she is such a fun character, gender bent version of the classic character that has been in the news. Robin Hood has been in the news so much lately because of the GameStop thing and the app Robin Hood, that there's actually a website that does everything about Robin Hood in England, and their website and their Twitter accounts all got flooded. People thinking that it was the trading app, but everybody who signed on and started following them when they found out it was about the actual character Robin Hood have all been sticking around. So this company is just this little website who sells Robin Hood books and stuff has just been having a field day of people suddenly rediscovering. Well, this is an ongoing series, or a series going on right now. It's a great character, and Joe Bruscia is writing it. For a long time, if you don't know Joe and Ralph Tedesco created this company. They came up with the original idea for Grimm Fairy Tales. I got involved because they wanted to do a Sinbad book. So I came on to do Sinbad and then started working on all the other properties as well. But they've been kind of the Kevin Feige for their universe. They're involved in every book, all the plots they're involved in. And now they're taking more of an active hand, or at least Joe is, in scripting. Now, Joe is writing this character now. It was more developed by Pat Shand originally. But this is such a fun character. And I don't think Zenoscope gets enough credit for the good stories they tell. People look at the cover and they go, oh, they all freak out by the cover. When I worked for them and I would do a convention, 90% of my customers buying the Zenoscope books were women. Women flocked to the books and they would buy every cover that came out. They loved it. And I would go to a con with all my different books I've written, and my Zenoscope books would sell out first and quickly.
Yep.
And but there's such good writing going on at Zenoscope, and Joe really knows how to handle this character, and it's a book you should be checking out. Number one came out not that long ago. You could pick up the first 2 issues and, again, really dive in. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, Zenoscope is the definition of don't judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
I always tell people that the cover is there to hook you, is to get you to stop and open the book. Mm-hmm. Once you open the book, the artwork inside and the storytelling inside is going to convince you that it's what you need to be reading. It's my pal Raven worked there for a long time writing books for Zenoscope, and sometimes you'd see I'd get the book and I'd take it home and I'd be like, I hope my mom doesn't see this cover. And that's a fair statement. Yeah. However, if I were to show my mom the insides of the book, she would flip because they're so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And the storytelling is so well done.
And so many
totally accessible
artists that are working at Dynamite and IDW and Boom have come out of Zenoscope first. They got their start there. Mm-hmm. I'm constantly seeing guys that I worked with over at Zenoscope who are now at Marvel and on these different companies. Edward Fregato is a cover artist popping up all over the place. He worked with me on Zenoscope on a Sinbad series. Brent Peoples worked with me on Sinbad. Gustavo Vasquez. I mean, we had so many really great artists on Sinbad and these different books.
Yeah. That's the other thing, guys, is when you see these cover artists, when you see these interior artists, especially at companies like Zenoscope, Scout, Aftershock, Source Point, a lot of these companies, these are the guys who are headed that direction of Marvel, DC, Boom, IDW, Dynamite. Mm-hmm. They're the guys who are, they're the future And then at the same time, that's where the legends are headed. The guys who have done their bids at the big companies and want to come back, come back and tell their own stories. They're headed back that direction.
Yep.
So always be watching these small publishers. It's why on my show, on the pull list, which is at 6:00 on Tuesday nights, I seldom talk about Marvel or DC stories because it's so important for me that people look at the smaller publishers. And Zenescope, not a small publisher.
No.
They're a good size. They're a big company with a big catalog. They might still be run by the same two dudes who started it and have a relatively small staff, but they have a huge library.
Yep. They do.
Created by great creators. So always be watching the smaller market share companies. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and they let the writers have a lot more creative freedom than you would think. Like I said, Joe and Ralph are usually in on the plotting, but once they the plot settled, the writers get a lot more carte blanche, especially some of the subtitles. When I was writing Sinbad, I could get as crazy as I wanted on the story to the point that I at one point I literally thought I was going too far. I was going as what I called to John McClane. I was almost having Sinbad talk to the camera. And when I sent it in thinking, okay, this is the test. This is going to show how far I can go. And the only note I got back was more of this. I went, perfect.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely it. This is where these are the publishers, Zenescope, and I named a bunch of them earlier, where people go to tell the stories they want to tell.
Yeah.
And they're allowed to do that, which is amazing. So shout out to Zenescope for Robin Hood. It's one of my favorite titles from Robin Hood, or from Zenescope as well. I remember when they launched this particular version of Robin Hood, number 1 came out, and it was the same weekend as, I think back then it was still called Mid-Ohio Comic-Con. Went on to be Wizard World Columbus.
Yep.
And they had variant covers of this book where Robin Hood was dressed up like an Ohio State garb. And I still have those books. I still have those variants in my collection. I'll never part with them. They're signed by, I think they're signed by Ralph. And he's like, I don't have anything to do. Yeah, but you founded the company, sign the dang book. Like, why are you going to argue with me, Ralph? But that was, that was my introduction to Zenescope. And then I met Raven Gregory and went back and read his whole back catalog and really got into the publisher. So it's something to think about. So, Dan, we got about 5 minutes left. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? Was there anything we missed from your list?
I think we hit all the ones I had brought up. And I think we got all of Nick's list when he was on.
Yep. Yeah. I just want to remind people then, if we have a chance, Nuclear Family from Stephanie Phillips, who we've talked about already. Over
she's
at
got a couple
Aftershock
books
Comics.
this week, yeah.
Yeah. It's a big week for her. This is the story of what happens after the nuclear holocaust, basically. What will a family do to stay together and to survive? It's worth checking out from Aftershock Comics. We've talked about Stray Dogs. And then the other one from Image that I want to remind you again about is Two Moons, which is a it's a story of a Native American man serving in the Civil War who has to confront his shamanic roots. It's like a coming of age story set in the Civil War with sort of Native American mythology or indigenous peoples' mythologies wrapped into it.
That's John Acrudi, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to definitely look at that one when I get in the shop tomorrow.
It's I called this book a few weeks ago as something people should be looking at, and this week it is my pick of the week for books coming out, and I think it's going to be the book that blows up because I could totally see this being a movie. So
nice.
All right, Dan, why don't you remind the people about the Zenescope books, or not the Zenescope, the Dynamite books thing?
All right.
And we'll remind people about what's coming up here on the network this weekend, and then we'll wrap her up.
All right. Dynamite books. I don't have them in my hand right now, but we have a line of novels based on some of the Dynamite characters. We have 2 Vampirella novels, the Blood Dragon and Blood Invasion. One, Blood Invasion, is written by Nancy A. Collins, and I wrote the other one myself. Also, there's Purgatory Chaos Rising, which tells the origin story of Purgatory. We have an adaptation of The Boys, which adapts the first comic series, A Name of the Game. And if you watch the TV series The Boys and you think, well, why would I want to read? Because it's just telling the story. It's completely different. This focuses on the boys taking on a younger group of heroes called the Teenage Kicks. It's a little more graphic in some points. It's a little more intense, and it's a lot of fun. I had a blast writing it because I'm adapting Garth Ennis's writing, which is just, I kept finding myself going, am I really writing those words on a page right now? We also have audio books of most of them. There's no audio for The Boys because of a deal, and there's none of the Purgatory ones still in the works, but all the other ones have audio books. There's also an audio version of the original Shaft novel by Ernest.
Hold on.
Yeah. The original writer of Shaft, Ernest.
I'm opening Audible.
Okay. Also, we have our military fiction books, SEAL Team 6,
Ernest
SEAL Team 6 No More. Yeah.
Tiedemann?
Ernest Tiedemann, yes. So there's SEAL Team 6, SEAL Team 6 No More, and our brand new one, SEAL Team 6 AX, which is our first female-led military fiction novel. And that book, there's a novella that you can get in on. It's just the short version. And then there's a full-size novel written by Scott Wilson. So we've got some great writers working on these series. We have some really great voice talent. Kate Engren, Kristen Wall, Will Dixon, Cody Parcell are all coming in doing the voice or the narrations for these books. They're available digitally, in print and audio. So check them out. We've got quite a few of them out there. Read them, see what you like. And like I said, you get a chance to see Nancy's book on Vampirella is very much old school Hammer horror. Mine is much more straight from the old Vampirella magazine. I'm actually picking up on her original trip to Hong Kong years ago. So it's kind of a sequel to that if you read the old Vampirella magazine. So you got a lot of fun stuff out there to look at for Dynamite books.
All right. And then coming up, let me click the right things here. Coming up here this weekend on the EXP, we have Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 6 both days. We've got Joe Illich. We've got David Walker. We've got Afua Richardson. We've got Reggie, or not Reggie, Rodney. Oh, man. See, I knew I was going to name this list off, and I was going to blank on it. I knew this was coming, Dan. So we've got Tim Fielder, Afua Richardson, Tyler Forrest Martin, Micheline Hess, David Crownson, Keith Cross, Greg Anderson Elise, John Jennings, Joe Illich, David Walker, Rodney Barnes, Second Sight Publishing, and Victor Dandridge, just to name a few. We've still got more names coming. We'll be announcing those this week here on the EXP and over on Peep Game Comics. If you go to comicshoppingexperience.com, there's a link at the top that says Black Comics Universe, or there's a big white logo. Click on it. It will take you to information about Black Comics Universe, and it will also take you to information about Peep Game Comics.
Mm-hmm. This is all bonus stuff, too. This isn't normal schedule being pushed aside. This is additional time on the experience here.
Yeah, this is a mini con that we're running. And then Friday nights are different on the EXP, guys. We've got So Much Cosplay, which is a how-to cosplay show. We've got virtual signings with Henri, where you can meet independent creators, have them sign their books live on the air for you. We've got Talking Shop Live, where we talk to independent creators. Many of them will live draw for us while we're meeting, and then you'll have a chance to buy that art. And then Nerd News Now, presented by the Kingdom of Geekdom and Woodlands Online every Friday night here on The Experience. So for Nick, who is gone, and for Dan, who is right there, I've been Kyle. This has been Tuesday night. This has been in stores this week. Go to your local comic shop tomorrow, guys. Visit comicshoplocator.com or bit.ly/comic locator to find a store near you. I got I don't have any graphics. I forgot to load the graphics for this particular segment. Anyhow, but visit them tomorrow and get your cool books. And we will see everybody next week here on The Experience. See you, everybody.
Have a good night.